Hi, everyone. It's Norman Kochnick yet again for Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. And once again, we have a very esteemed guest who is lighting the airways. He's soon to open up his own fan club. That is none other than David Graveney, who is going to probably be called DG Fan Club. Is that what we're going to call you? Do you have an abbreviation you'd like to go by?
Grav's Fan Club.
Grav's Fan Club. All right, we might actually get that started because it's something of a great thing. I had a comment from Richard Vernon, Chris's dad, yesterday. He couldn't make it. He was in the car and he was actually listening to us through his car. And he was most taken by your commentary about the whole Glenn McGrath scenario, that you were there, you saw what was happening, it all happened in front of you. It's a very interesting and rare insight to get from someone who was actually there and on the ground, and the whole thing was performed in front of them. You saw the reactions. It's quite special. So that was what he said.
No, it's the old Edgbaston. I think they do actually. I think make a really good effort of trying to recapture the spirit, but it's the same as lots of other grounds. I can remember Uncle Tom showing me some old pictures of the Gabba, which bear no comparison to what it looks like now. But other than the ends are still called the same things, aren't they? They're still the same terminology.
Yeah, if you're talking about the Gabba, my God, there was a dog track there. They had a club.
No, everything. The dog track and the whole lot, really. So,
you know what? I really wish it was like that now, because the ground, I don't think the Gabba has any real soul to it. It hasn't got the same atmosphere. It's lost a lot of its history. I think the Queensland Cricketers Club is still there, but it's amongst the tin can style nature of the ground.
I've been in that, but you trip over it before you could find it.
Exactly.
And then, to be fair to them, they all look the same. And the worst tragedy, I think, for me, is Adelaide. That what it looked like before and what it looks like now. Fortunately, they held back from building in front of the church. It's like putting a stand in front of the church at Worcester, for instance. I know that they're only very small grounds, but on a plus point, I did think the two new stands at Lord's looked very good.
Oh, they've cleverly kept the same igloo style to them.
No, it's very good, because I was on the MCC committee when they decided to build the press box as it is now, which was deemed at that stage as something out of the film War of the Worlds, basically. So.
But don't you think that's become extremely iconic, hasn't it? Now it's an incredible complex.
They probably have to think of something else. And actually, there was only one company in Cornwall who could build it like that. So they had the design of what they wanted to do, and it would fit in with line of sight. A lot of cricket grounds, if you have a residential areas around it, the main thing is line of sight. People need to see the trees and whatever. I think it's a really good. It's a very odd. Have you ever been in it at all? The press box at Lord's.
Have I been?
Yeah, in the media centre.
Many times.
I feel as if you're going to fall out the front of it at some stage. First time you go in it, because the angle of the glass.
But didn't I tell you? 8 years ago, I was caught in the lift coming down from the JB Morgan Media Centre for an hour and a half in a stuck lift with Michael Vaughan. I had Damien Martin and Jonathan Norman, the journalist. We were all stuck in the lift for an hour and a half.
Fine. But nobody suffering from feeling claustro at the time. That's a long time, because that's not a very big lift. And I've always been suspicious of that lift, because it rattles from day one. That it might sort of fail to work, but at least.
Well, there's one on each side, isn't there? There's two lifts. Yeah. There's one on each side. Now, I've been up that area many times, having been a media accredited person for well over 10 years, close to 15 years. So I've been up many times. I love it, and I particularly like, as you described, that feeling falling over the play and that top tier where the television broadcasters are, as opposed
studios
to
up there.
media. It's a great place.
It just gets a bit hot in the afternoon when the sun comes round the other way. But what was the take of your panelists on yesterday's play?
Okay, I was super duper impressed with Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul. They were both magnificent. That they really everything that you and I talked about over the last few days regarding leaving the ball, playing the ball under their eye,
Yeah.
playing late and playing the line of the ball as opposed to the ball that's moving. They did exactly. They were to the letter, weren't they? Magnificent.
Well, and I think it speaks volumes of the basic technique of Indian batsmen.
Yes.
There were challenging conditions. I don't think anybody is accusing anybody of doing the wrong thing at the toss. And you've got to have some luck. What's the dividing line between a play and miss and a nick? Because that's not in the control of the batsman to a degree.
No.
But you can only survive on wickets like that with a certain amount of luck. But also, you've got to have a really good basic technique, which is, I'd have to say, is actually, I think it's taught in India at birth, Norman. Let alone when you're 7 or 8.
Well, I mean, look at the fact that Rahul's not out 127. You have to wonder why he was ever not in the side. He's fit that position like a hand to a glove, and really he's amazing. He's scored a century in his last match.
He has gone through runs of form which are phenomenal in terms of naught after naught after naught. So delighted for him. It was very, very interesting to. Nobody likes to get out, but I was wondering what was going through the minds of Sharma and certainly Kohli at their age. Are they like early 30s? Would be that the right age?
Yeah, I think they're in the very early 30s. Yeah.
I'm then thinking, is this my last opportunity to get on the honours board as they walked off?
It's amazing how that really plays on players.
Oh, no, yeah.
More than any other ground in the world.
And Rahul is now up on that board, so he'll be happy as Larry. So.
I was asked a question yesterday about in the evening. Well, two things I was asked. One was about if a player gets a century or a fifer, do they become automatic MCC members? Is there such a thing?
No. Well, the life membership, because it becomes a life member, Norman. So there is a committee who award those for. And I think you've got to have played quite a lot of Test match cricket, and I'm deeply honoured to be a life member. But I think that goes back to 2005, where everybody was either getting medals or life memberships or whatever. So
fantastic!
I've benefited on the back of that thing. So.
Well, deservedly so.
I have actually served on a lot of committees at Lords. Shows my. I replaced Peter May on the main committee.
Wow!
So that's why I was involved in the construction of the media centre, but also the electric scoreboard, which you can imagine caused absolute chaos. Because if you remember old pictures of the grandstand, which is the stand sort of square of the wicket up the hill. There was a scoreboard right in the middle of the stand itself, and there was one on the other side. And so they were replaced by electronic scoreboards, which you do anything at the MCC creates quite a lot of comments from members who have been there for their life, for the whole of their lives. So, but it's I've always been intrigued. With the Adelaide scoreboard, because you need a book of how that works.
They're running all over the place, aren't they? They've got all sorts of gadgets they have to turn.
But that's a very Australian scoreboard in terms of listing the batting side, and then the modes of dismissal, and the bowling analysis. But it's I had to talk my wife through that when we went to Adelaide. So there are different forms of doing it, but it seems to be the electronic one seems to have been eventually accepted by the MCC membership, which is pleasing to know. By the time everybody's accepted, they'll have to knock it down and do something else. So.
Well, as long as they put up something that's not red writing, as we've got at Drummoyne Oval, which is deemed to be the second best ground in Sydney. They have red writing, so if you squint, you can't read a damn thing. and you can't photograph it because the red doesn't come out. It's awful. Why they pick red writing, I'll never know. There's a lot of questions about Pujara being dropped and even Rahane and Kohli not batting well. I mean, they've got to leave these guys alone. The reality is Pujara, their batting lineup at the moment, despite them not all firing, has worked quite a treat so far. They're 3 down
Well,
for
to get
270
to
on
the
the
score that they are now, and they had some luck, but they earned the luck because of their techniques. You're only talking, and people talk about 500. That sounds like sort of miles away. But if you look at, right, we need another 220 to get to 500. That's the target for the rest of the batting lineup. So that's well within their reach to do that. So.
Absolutely. And if they get a score like that, they'll win. Well, they certainly won't lose.
They won't lose. I've always thought that actually, sort of 5-day test matches, if you're still batting after lunch on the second day, you are in control of the match. Because it'll take for such a long time for the opposition to catch you up at that point. I think you're holding all the cards, and I'm sure that'll be the target. It is really set up for the Pants show to come in at some stage when the new.
Well, he's got a license to kill now.
Oh no,
he's got a license to kill.
So I'm sure a full house will be looking forward to see him back live. So.
Now, we talked yesterday, I'm not going to go on with it too much, but we talked yesterday, which became a real topic at 3 a.m. my time, about that whole scenario of handing over the team sheets in the toss.
Right.
If it's truly to the letter, the team sheets are given to the match referee prior to the toss, generally.
Yeah, no, as you're walking out, you'll walk past the umpire and give them the team sheets. I think one of the challenges for the captains, does the team sheet actually reflect the discussions in the dressing room? Have we capped the wrong person or whatever?
That team sheet's not given to the opposing captain, though. It's given to the match referee, correct? Okay. Because we in the media get that team sheet anywhere, I mean, depending on the day, it can be half an hour before the play starts. So we can broadcast it then, which means, does the opposition team know the players at that point, or can they find out by some means?
Well, you would know. And I'm not wishing to say that you play Sri Lanka, and the modern Sri Lanka that sadly for them they're changing their team quite a lot. Would you know player X? That sort of has a surname that nobody can pronounce. You wouldn't even know what he looked like. So.
Well, I mean, it was more around the question of if there were no spinners in the Indian team, flippantly, Jadeja and Ashwin didn't play. Well, England may be alerted to that, or vice versa. They may try to rectify accordingly, but that's not the way to approach. The team sheets are handed in. They toss. They go about then their decision as to the toss. And can the toss be influenced because the opposition side sees the other team hasn't picked any spinners? That type of thing.
Ironically, I was just listening to or watching or catching up on sport overnight on my phone, and there happened to be a thing on YouTube about the 2005 Test match series. So I'm very conscious that I tend to spend quite a lot of time talking about that, and that is now 16 years ago. But Steve Waugh was saying, to his credit, that, and I don't know how long after the end of the series, that was one of the best series he'd ever played in, regardless of the results, but the closeness of the matches. And then he was asked about, and they had a camera in the dressing room after the first test, so obviously the Australians are really delighted about winning. And then he was challenged by the interviewer about the process around deciding to bowl Edgbaston, given that they lost one of their main weapons before the game started. And he said, you have to understand that actually the weather leading up to the match was not very good, which is true. So the wicket itself had been under the covers for a long time. And he was saying, you just don't rock up at the ground and suddenly say, oh, I think we'll have a bowl today. A lot of people would have had a lot of conversations about it and probably wouldn't have factored into that decision. What happens if we lose our strike bowler? Does that alter what we do? And obviously, they decided not to. And that is And Michael Kastrovic is a really top bowler. His record in the UK is phenomenal. So, and a delightful man as well. So, I think he was just really, and he wasn't getting angry about it. He was just saying there's a lot of thought process that goes into it. So that
Absolutely.
question of the team sheets, the toss is actually the one. I think you'll enjoy this, and I'll be very conscious of not naming the England captain. This is when I was captain of Gloucestershire in the mid-80s, playing a crucial game. We had a chance to win the championship, which we hadn't done forever. So green wicket, normal English conditions, and the England captain. There was a break between Test matches. We named our team between, so that wasn't on a team sheet. So that was actually you just doing it verbally. So you could think of anything there. So, and he tossed the coin in a way that he threw it to his right. So I'm the farthest point away from him. All right. So I call heads or tails. He then goes to pick the coin up and says, "You've lost the toss." Now I haven't seen the coin land or which way it's round. So I had to accept his word. And I was walking back from the middle to inform my players, or certainly the batsman, you've got to go and have a bat. And I thought, should I have had the right to see the coin?
Well, you'd think so.
Yeah. So, but it was definitely not in front of it. It was a toss that went somewhere to the right over there. So,
it's rather cheeky, isn't it? It's very, very cheeky.
Well, it's always haunted me for quite a long time. And needless to say, we lost the game and we didn't win the championship. Now, it doesn't always, and again, I think Mark Taylor and Steve Waugh, I think it's a quote from Steve Waugh. He said, "The toss is irrelevant, it's how you play." He is absolutely right up to a point. Sometimes the toss is relevant, but if you take those two captains, for instance, Mark Taylor was probably, I think, the bravest captain of all time because he wanted to have Shane Warne bowling at the end of the game. So he was putting himself into the lion's den of batting on wickets as the opening batsman that could easily, and he was dismissed quite a lot, but whatever the motives, he was doing it for the betterment of the team, not for himself, which I thought was outstanding.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you look at obviously these last two tests, the first two tests of the series, Roots won both tosses and has made decisions which have actually failed. You could argue. First innings, the first test, he went into he went in bat, chose to bat, and the team only got 183. In this particular case, he chose to bowl, and the team's heading for 400 plus. So both decisions actually worked against him.
Yeah, but I think he would be the first to admit that England didn't bat very well at Trent Bridge. So the Indian attack benefited from that. There also comes a time when you have to take your hat off and bow accordingly to a level of batsmanship that was shown yesterday that they just played better. It wasn't anybody's fault. It wasn't the wrong decision. They passed the bat. They could have had a bit more luck. But you have to admire the discipline of leaving the ball. And that was old-fashioned batting.
Oh, gotcha. It's almost as if Pujara's taken Rahul, and Sharma into the nets and say, "Guys, this is the way you bat," and then he's forgotten himself how he does it.
Well, but it's a rhythm, isn't it, in terms of batting? He's played in the UK a lot.
He has,
and I think the sort of the back-to-back Test matches is a little bit like one-day internationals. If you have a bad start, it's sometimes very difficult to get it back again if you're playing game after game after game. So
absolutely. All right, I'm going to switch people around a little bit. Here we go. Yeah. I'll move more in a bit. So we've been joined by Sid. How are you, Sid?
Hi, Norman. Hi, David.
So, Sid, I'm expecting David and I have been talking, but I'm sure you're a little bit on the smug side, are you, after the India performance? You're quite happy? You're quite buoyant?
Well, they played well. I mean, it wasn't, apart from James Anderson, no one had that discipline factor to control the runs. Ollie Robinson in some patches, but otherwise, it was a pretty decent batting experience that put India on top. I mean, KL Rahul After 10 years, another Rahul comes up to the Lord's Honours Board after Rahul Dravid. Fitting. But then again, look, Anderson changed the game when he got rid of Rohit and Pujara. And Rahul steadied the ship. It was all about KL Rahul. Without KL Rahul, the Indian innings would have floundered yet again.
Well, hang on. I mean, Rohit Sharma got 83, didn't he? I mean, he didn't exactly do nothing. And Kohli has to be given some credit. He's 42, albeit not flamboyant. He certainly supported Rahul very well at a stage of the match when he needed to. So you've got to take your hat off him for doing that as well. And considering they're a batsman down.
Kohli probably used more brain power in that innings than I've never seen a level of concentration from somebody who is such a natural shot maker. He was going to try and grind it out to 100. So he would have been absolutely distraught walking off, as was Sharma, because he was only 15 runs short.
But he got a good ball from Anderson.
Yeah, fantastic.
He got a superb ball.
Yeah, but I think that's when the luck was slightly against them, because he actually nicked it onto his leg, and then it ricocheted into the stumps. So it actually could have gone anywhere virtually. So, but Anderson certainly deserved that. But Rahul is a fantastic. Well, not the first or last Indian batsman where you admire people driving the ball. I think a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's something about the way he drives that reminds me a bit like of Vansaka a little bit. That it's just elegant cover drive. Not trying to burst the ball, just getting in the right base and just timing it, which it was pleasing on the eye. And I said before you came on, Sid, that it was I think a great lesson to how you bat if you have a really solid foundation. As a young person, you've got to have luck on a wicket like that. There's no doubt about that. But and England didn't bowl badly, but they didn't have the luck. They realised they were bowling on a bowler-friendly wicket. So sometimes this is my cynical view as a left-arm spinner, is that there's a massive difference between the wicket's the same, the ball's the same, the batsman the same. There's a difference in the mentality of the bowler if you lose the toss and basically the opposition decide to bat, as opposed to your captain saying, right, we're going to bowl first because I'm expecting you guys to bowl them out. Mentally, that has a massive effect on the bowlers. Indeed. Certainly at the level I was playing, maybe not at test match level. But
well, happy Left-Handers Day, David.
Sorry? That's correct.
Yeah, today is International Left-Handers Day, so happy Left-Handers Day.
Oh, right, thank you.
Well, does that mean that Jadeja will go in and score some runs? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, I hope so. I hope so.
Well, I can give you a quote from Duncan Fletcher when he went and coached the Indians, which I think was something he really, really enjoyed. Because all he had to do, because he had all these world-class players, was really talk about match situations and things he'd encountered, and he even at that stage thought Jadeja was the most valuable player in the team for what he brought to the team in terms of bowling, batting, and fielding, and particularly the fielding element. I know fielding around the world is now greatly improved, and that's down to the IPL or tournaments like that, because you can't hide any fielders doing that. Yeah, if it's left-handers day, look out, guys. So
hope Rory Burns does well. Rory Burns and Sam Curran
with Pant as well. Good God!
Yeah,
oh my God, we've got a bit of Pant and Jadeja together.
Yeah.
So just quickly,
plus Sam Curran.
Oh, and yes, of course, Sam Curran with the bowling. Just quickly, people continue to talk about Punjab being dropped in their commentary, and we talked about that earlier, Siddharth, about they really. Honestly, they should leave the Indian batters alone. They've done extremely well in this inning so far. Rohit Sharma, they should no longer be saying, oh, he hasn't scored a century, blah, blah, blah. The fact is, his 83 was worth many centuries, in my opinion. Really, when an opening batting partnership has a century opening stand, in my opinion, it's almost as good as a century for an opening batsman. That's the ideal start they should be able to give to their team, is to have 100 stand. And in fact, in India were... up to the last 5 or 6 overs, they were actually 2 down for 267. which is a remarkable score. I mean, 3 for 276 is not bad either, but it just shows how much in command they were. If you can say you're 2 for 276 or whatever, or 3 in this case, magnificent. Seriously, let's hope they bring this to the next stage to a 400 plus.
But I think Sharma, having watched him over a number, I can remember going to see him. He was practicing. Does he come from Bangalore, Sid, or not?
Rohit Sharma is from Mumbai.
Right, but he was practicing at the ground at Bangalore. I think that might have been to do with the IPL.
The NCA headquarters where he was undergoing rehabilitation, where most of the people assemble, is in Bangalore.
Yeah, because Rahul Dravid was there. I think he was working with him.
Yep.
And I don't know whether, Sid, you've ever been to the ground itself, the pavilion.
Of course, I have.
All the training facilities.
Yes.
Norman, there is as you walk through the door, all right, and this has such an impact on. I was looking after a bunch of under 17 players, who actually included people like Liam Livingston, Tom Banton, all these guys. Daniel Bell Drummond, who plays for Kent, and whatever.
And Ramick Peterson.
Yeah, and there's a poem that is right in front of you as you walk through the door, which is probably the most powerful set of words to a sportsman. It's basically saying, stop finding excuses. You are the only one person who can change your destiny of playing. And you have to, first of all, be honest with yourself before you go any further. And it's probably haven't explained it that well, but for a young or any person, old like me or young like them, it was a really powerful statement to have. So,
indeed.
No, it's true, especially if you're just walking. Was that plaque on the entry to the ground or the entry to the field?
No, entry into the training facility.
Yeah, right. In the training facility, just on the left-hand side of the ground, you'll see it.
Yeah, because they were digging up the nets, and there's actually a bit of a square at the back. It's a fantastic ground. They've even got a little bit like the Brayborn. They've got like a members club or somewhere where you can stay.
Exactly.
And actually, that's, I think, where the bomb went off, or there was an explosion. It wasn't a bomb. I think there was something
in 2012.
Yeah, 2012, there was something to do with the central heating or something like that. I don't think it was a terrorist attack or anything like that. So
I think it was a gas explosion. I think it was a gas explosion, cylinder explosion.
First time I have seen. That's the first time I've seen Sharma bat for live. So.
Okay.
It was very good.
This particular training facility in Bangalore, that's near Chinnaswamy Stadium?
Yep.
Was it connected to it or is it separate?
It's connected to it. I mean, it's like the distance from Lords to St. John's Wood metro station.
Oh, right. Not very far. Okay. Because Chinnaswamy Stadium is one of my favourite memories there, where I watched India versus Pakistan. And I think it was 07, 08. I'm not sure what year it was. And I was there for the match, and you were caged in. The crowd was so big, and I had a general admission ticket. I didn't have a good ticket, and I was with my then wife, and we were quite impressed by the way it went about. And Shoaib Akhtar bowled from one end, and he was revving up the crowd. That was amazing atmosphere. Fantastic.
No, it's a fantastic ground, because it was quite funny because they were preparing it for the first IPL at that sort of time, or one of the earlier ones. And I think there was women's internationals between India and England at the time, but they were trying to redevelop the accommodation or the pavilion for the IPL. So the lads were actually staying, believe it or not, Norman, actually in the main stand, because that had accommodation.
Oh, right.
And actually,
around the 2007-8 period, they were redoing a lot of the stadiums, one for IPL and other for the 2011 World Cup at that time.
No, we had just a fantastic time. But one thing that I did, and it has the pavilion itself, or the ground, lots of function rooms, fantastic old function rooms with chandeliers and whatever. And there was which zone would Bangalore be in? When you're talking about north, east, west,
it is in the south zone. The south.
South zone. All right. So there's a big scorecard on the wall of the MCC playing against the South Zone, and my uncle was
Wow.
playing in the game. All right, and I'd have to
Wow.
say it was not a successful match for him. But when I rang him and challenged him when I got back to the UK, and this is like in the 50s, he knew exactly how he got out, and he got run out, and he knew exactly who to blame, which was not him. The memories of cricketers of their stats is phenomenal, really. So.
Indeed.
So there's a lot of comment. They're still commenting about the weather. I think the weather's good today. I'm not hearing anything other than good. And the joke we say, rain, stay away, punt, come again. There's a lot of jokes about that going around. Oh, I've got someone who loves me, which is good. That's handy to have. Please keep my moustache like David Byrne. If I'm going to get rid of this, but I may try to do a go. I might just have some fun with it. I'm not sure what I'll do.
I think Merv Hughes had the better moustache than David
more.
Boone.
That's one thing.
I think Merv Hughes had the better moustache than David Boone, I think.
Oh, no. Well, David Byrne's moustache was a lot thicker even than Merv Hughes's, actually. David Byrne, he had a big upper lip, and he covered it.
Sid, actually, they did in the UK top 10 moustaches of cricketers around the world, and I actually got into the top 10. Believe it or not.
Wow.
Yours was in the top 10, was it?
Yeah.
Can't imagine David.
When Gloucestershire won the Benson Hedges, we decided to, for some reason or other, must have been late at night, everybody grew a moustache. So David Shepherd, the umpire, so this is when he was playing, had the best handlebar moustache, like waxed on the ends, like sort of military guy, and I just kept mine. So
David Shepherd, my goodness, I can't believe it that he had such a big handlebar moustache.
Do you have photographs, David, of that? You got to send me an email.
I'll send you a picture of that. Actually, I do have it. I think I have it up here somewhere.
Well, take a photograph of it and send me the photo. That'd be very
good. No, I will do. No, it's quite. If you go on to, Gloucestershire, Benson Hedges winning team 1977, and then they'll all have moustaches, including me.
All right, I'll have a look.
Wow.
Norman, I'll be back in 2 secs. I just had an urgent mention to talk about one of my under-19 players, because we just picked the team. And I think.
All right. You go. We'll talk on. We'll talk on. Yeah. We'll talk on. You go.
It'll only take a couple of minutes. Okay.
No problems. No problems.
I'll be back.
Okay. Isn't that great? We're talking to David Graven. He's just pulled away because he's doing something with the under-19 in England team.
Yeah.
Quite special.
Can't imagine David with a moustache, though. Can't imagine. I struggle.
But David's got some. How good is he to have him on the show? He's a regular. He loves being on here. Well, Simon Willis will be more often too. He's the high performance coach. He's also one of the scouts. Both David and Simon have got that role. Literally, you could argue they're scouts/selectors at the moment. They've got a great role. All right. While Dave was gone, we might get down to the nitty gritty of the game. Banster boy is a man indeed. Well, he's not here. Where is old Vernon? He's actually working. He'll be here either very late, like in the second or third hour of the talk, if I go that long, and definitely after the match. Yes, last night we had, I said it was quite funny. I had both Biram and also Naresh on, and we started talking about tosses and, handing the team sheets in. When do the team sheet, what's the protocol? Well, we talked about the fact the team sheets must go in before the toss is made. But interestingly enough, I get the team sheet sent to me through the media network, as you would.
Yep.
We know well in advance. Once we publicise that, does that mean the opposition team know, or are they already aware of the team? That's what I want to know. It's an interesting question because
it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, why don't you?
Sorry.
Yeah, why don't you just give the team sheets much before in advance? You're not. You're going to play with 11 people, the 12 people. It's no open secret. It's not a state secret. Why don't you just publish it?
Yeah, it's very interesting because imagine India don't pick any spinners. They didn't pick Jadeja or Ashwin, let's just say, or England vice versa. You may argue that it's not going to be a spin wicket, a turning wicket. Does that mean that means that the opposition captain who's seen the team sheet can then change his mind as to which way he's going to win the toss?
You know what would be the ideal change that I would like to have in Test cricket, Norman, or any kind of cricket for that matter? When you do the toss, okay, for all the days, do not reveal the pitch. Keep it undercover. Okay, number one. Keep it undercover. After the toss is done, when all your team sheets have decided to bowl, after that you reveal the pitch how it is. Then you see how the dynamics of the game changes totally. Because oh, this is like a green top. I've chosen to bat. What do I do?
Exactly.
Keep the pitch undercover right after the toss is done. The team sheets are announced. Remove the pitch. Oh no, I picked 2 spinners. I should have picked 4 pacers. Doesn't it add a different dimension to it altogether? You
Can
reveal
you
the pitch,
imagine?
you reveal all your horses. What's the
No,
point?
that's true. It's true. But it's even more intriguing when you think of, I hate to say it, that the betting on pitches, the betting on weather is enormous. And I'm not privy to it, but a lot of people ask us, what's the weather like? And I always wonder why they keep asking, but I know that there is a betting format that's out there. Okay,
Yes.
Where's Alan Mullally, Norman? Well, Alan will be on a lot of shows. He'll be on a lot more, not so many live. He'll be doing a lot more one-on-one and feature stories. He's got people like he's bringing on he's bringing on Jimmy Adams from West Indies. He's bringing on, who else am I thinking of? Who's the current coach of the West Indies? Oh my God, Phil Simmons, sorry. A lot of his contacts, Lily, a whole lot of people are going to be bringing on soon. So we'll be getting to that point where Alan will be more specialised for that. Adam Hollyoak will be on for the next 3 days for the pre-show. He's promised me. He was unavailable the first 2 days. We had Monty yesterday. Monty is meant to be on today. He may come on the next hour. Who knows? I think yesterday he came on after 1 hour, if I can recall. So, all right, so that's what's going on. And both Chris Verner's at the match, and I tried to get a live, it didn't work. And Reg has to work. So that's why the people are around. Don't worry, guys. Did you think Ashwin will be a better choice than Ishan Sharma? Until what do you think? What's your thoughts?
I think the team selected, as I told you, it was on the right vein because you couldn't drop Jadeja. So that left, because Shardul was injured, there was a choice between Ishant and Ashwin. But you have to pick Ishant because of the experience that he brings to Lords. He was the one who helped India win the last time in 2014. So his experience will count. So Ashwin, unfortunately, I think if Jadeja fails, if he fails in Lords, then he may come back for Leeds, Ashwin. But
so are you suggesting they're not going to play together?
No, can't. Unless it's a very hot day. Say, suppose all 5 days it's predicted that it will be sunny. The pitch might then crumble, say, for example, at the Oval. Maybe they may play together at the Oval. We don't know. That is the only test in the ground that I think that will suit spinners, 2 spinners. I think the Oval is your best choice.
But what could happen, and this is unlikely, but it could happen, is that Ashwin not get any of the test matches at all.
Could be. But I think the Oval represents a good chance because the Oval tends to be a dry deck. If it's sunny, then spin does come into play. You've seen in the past, in 2018 also, they played 2 spinners. So that's why. And look, there will be rotation. Yeah, there'll be rotation of the Indian bowlers. Bumrah is not going to play all the 5 tests. It's a given.
Now, I'm going to answer this question from... Sorry, so I'm going to quickly ask. Ian Malik Chowdhury says, my streams are so long, it's better to keep it shorter than an hour. There's a reason why I keep them longer, because this is a great discussion platform, and we're getting a lot of viewers watching the show at different stages, and I welcome that. You're always able to leave and come back. Generally towards the end of the, 8 o'clock was my time, which is next an hour and 19 minutes away, I generally get towards the match details. But this is a purposeful effort to engage people at different times who are available. That's the reason why I do it. I know I could do an hour slick show, you're right, but I think there's a lot more interesting things come out of a longer show. David talks about things that he doesn't expect to talk about, and I let David go. David can talk about something for half an hour. That's the beauty, I think, of what I do. Every other show's slick to the point, whiz-bang videos. I don't think that's what I want to do. I don't want to compete with who's got the best video, who's got the best thing. I don't want that. I want to talk about cricket and get interesting perspectives. What do you think, Siddharth? It's a choice. I know that.
Choice, yeah. I mean, look, if there is anything worthwhile in 2 to 3 hours of a discussion, even a 5-hour discussion is not enough. Cricket is such a vast and complex game that you can talk endlessly about it. And if you have the resources, you have people with you, why not?
Exactly. So don't worry, I take your point, but there's a reason in my madness. Now, Shabir Sheikh, if you want to join, I think you have to send me an email through my Instagram if you want. I've got to meet with you to know what you're all about. Any of this rivalry deserves more long streams. There you go. I agree.
Indeed.
Now you want Jeff Thompson back, please. I'll bring Jeff back. He'll come back. Don't worry. He's a great friend of mine, as well as Lenny Pascoe and Dougie Walters. But they're all in lockdowns. They're not. They're perhaps. Yeah. I'll look. You ask, I deliver. I'll get him. Okay.
They're in South Australia right now, currently.
No, Jeff Thompson lives in Queensland. He lived in Queensland for a long time, actually. He was a Bankstown boy originally, and he went to the same, I think I told you, primary school as Len Pascoe. Yep. And Dougie Walters lives not very far, or relative in Cumberland area. They're all pretty close. Dougie's a great guy.
Wow, Doug Walters, one of the best openers that you had in that period.
Opener? He wasn't an opener. He was the middle order batsman.
Doug Walters
was a mid. No, he was a dasher actually. And it was interesting. Doug Walters' home. I'm not joking. When you come here next time, Siddharth, I'll go and visit him.
Fingers crossed.
Oh my God, it is quintessential Doug Walters. He lives and breathes his cricket. He has a bar downstairs. He has an area that he drinks. Oh, it's amazing.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. That I make the trip in 2022 to Australia. I just hope.
Bring Jeff Thompson back, please.
Yeah. Well, I'll have Jeff on. Have you? I haven't put Jeff on with you, David, have I? And I'll bring him on for a second.
No, I know Jeff really well. He's done a lot of work for the PCA.
Right.
Playing golf days. He's a really good golfer. I would have to say, Norman, the last time I saw a picture of him, he didn't look in the best of health. He looked really very thin. That might just be the picture itself, but
I can assure you, he's as fit as a fiddle. He looks. He's actually thin, but in a good way thin. He also he had a titanium knee replacement that he did, but he's totally and utterly. He chased. I shouldn't go into detail, but he's been able to chase a few girls around the house. No, I'm joking. But he's met a partner. He's met all the Shripalis and then the Lakshis. He was with them all, and look, he was as lively as anyone else. He wanted to do things longer. He is actually not unfit at all, to be honest with you. And only a matter of 3 points.
I think you have to take Munchie's comment. I think it won't go down well with David. You have to take Munchie's comment now.
The other person you need to get off who's part of your stable, Norman, is Rodney Hogg.
Well, but see, after we had an interview we had a University of Victoria event, and I had Jeff and Doug there. And then after the event, we went to a pub, and they were like two young kids. They were enjoying themselves, carrying on. I rang Neil Harvey because we were talking about him and had a bit of a chat. It was like two young kids talking to their dad. It was a great thing, and they was kid-like as ever. Great, lot of fun. What's the comment are we talking about? This one here.
Munchie's given a.
These streams are longer than Burns is simply batting. Munchie, that's nasty. Is that good or bad? I'm not sure. I would have thought that was a very short session.
I think it's bad. Munchie's gotten the humor, the dark side humor of the England cricket team.
I'm gonna expose Munchie. I'm gonna get him onto the show and have to explain himself. I want him to explain this comment. I want to know exactly what he meant because I can take this very, very, very wrongly.
Yeah, you could do. So, what time are you on tonight, then, Norman?
Okay. Well, it's straight after the match. Now, last night, of course, the game finished about 7 p.m. I came on around that time, but it could be as early as 6 p.m. depending on how the day pans out.
All right. Well, so just send the link through as an email, then
I will. I will definitely do that. So all you got to do is watch the end of the match, and I'll be on. Last night I was on 15 minutes earlier than the match finishing.
So what is your predictions then?
Well, okay. If I'm being, in my opinion, I can't imagine India not doing well here, even though they've got a very long tail. They certainly have. If they did lose 2 or 3 quick wickets, they could be out quite cheaply. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think KL Rahul is going to be extremely determined to put a stamp on this innings, more than he's already done. I did notice that his highest score is 199. So he may want to break that and make it a double 100. And I think that Rahane will hang around, and then Punt will go crazy with Jadeja. And I think they'll get over 400. That's what I'm predicting. 400 plus score. And England will be in a lot of trouble. And actually, they'll lose early wickets because of the sheer pressure.
That 199, Norman.
Too much for Norman to do a bit of English bashing.
That 199 which Rahul hit wasn't that same match which Curran hit a 100. It was that same match in which he hit that 100 in Chennai against England.
Right.
Yep.
That was in India, though, wasn't it?
2016. Yep, Chennai.
I mean, whatever happened to that player? Still that Arun Nair, isn't it?
Curran Nair.
Curran Nair.
Yep.
But I mean, for God's sake, remember that day when he scored a triple century for India, and he hasn't been virtually seen since.
Yeah, I mean, lack of forms. I mean, the lack of form in that, number one. Second is injuries at the wrong time. Those two combined,
So,
because after
who are you talking about?
Curran Nair, the guy who got the second 100 for India.
All right. No,
That was back in 2016.
16.
And he was the next big thing. So I'm saying 400 plus, India and England in trouble with the 2 or 3 weeks down at the day's play. What are you saying, David?
I think how the bowlers will shape up will be critical, really, because I think they might have realised now that if the ball isn't going to swing, and again, Sam bowled really well around the wicket. He passed the bat, but it wasn't conventional swing. But actually, where Robinson and some of the balls did some extraordinary things. Robinson bowled a short ball that went straight down the leg side for, I don't know how they can call that 4 byes. It has to be 4 wides. You need Joss Buckley needed arms that were twice as long and also a ladder to have got it. And the one thing that Rohit Sharma alluded to, that the wicket was soft when he started. So I don't know whether that's the type of wicket that actually the ball leaves dents in it. And if those dents then dry, then look out for the batsman, because anything could happen. And there was just, I know the bowlers were getting a bit tired. It looked as if the ball was keeping low a little bit. Now that can be just the bowlers were tired, or they were bowling with a seam across, which means that it would produce a low bounce. But it'll be interesting to see how the wicket plays. If it doesn't do a lot, then look out. The Indians could get a hatful. But if it does start doing something and they get a little bit more luck than they had last time, you could easily have a bit of a collapse that happened at Trent Bridge.
Yep.
That actually you might not get to 400. But if that happens, then it shows the wicket is actually doing something, which actually it's a double-edged sword, really. So let's see what the first.
So you're suggesting that India will get a lot of runs? Is that really coming down?
I think unless the ball does something, then I think that the weather forecast that I'm seeing is that there'll be cloud cover for most of the match. So I envisage the ball doing a little bit all the time, actually. So, which actually produces a much better game of cricket. You don't want to watch people just making hay on flat wickets. So.
Yeah.
No. I still think that, as we always say, we won't really know how good or bad the innings is until we see England bat. If England bat long and we piddle out to not a draw, but a long drawn-out match, which is 2 innings, that could say something. But I got a feeling England are going to lose wickets. I just think there's an element of that out there.
If India are batting after somewhere near tea time, then you're into the realms of scoreboard pressure. So it doesn't really matter what the wicket's doing. It's just you're looking at a figure. Blimey, how many have we got to get to say to follow on? How many have we got to do to stay in the game? And it becomes quite a large amount of runs. So
that's true. Okay, Sid, what's your thoughts? And take off your positivity hat and put on a realistic hat. Realism hat.
Okay, realistically, look, you have to get to 450 plus so that you can dictate terms to them. But yes, since we have a slightly longish tail after Jadeja, you have only 4 bunnies you can say with the bat. Jadeja, Pant, and Rahane now have a big supporting role for KL Rahul. So 450, 500 in that range on this Lord's deck is superb. Then India's bowlers, they can then exploit the conditions, I think, fairly better, because if you have to look at it, only Anderson was the one who bowled in the right areas for a sustained period. Ollie Robinson also did, but he didn't have that consistency. So did Mark Wood, unfortunately. Have a consistent period in which you trouble the England batsmen, especially Joe Root. Get that? And you started building up a huge lead and putting England under immense pressure. 450, 500, that should be the first target, anywhere in that range. Get at least 2 to 3 wickets, and then you've started building immense pressure on them.
So to me, all guns blazing for India, quite frankly. I think Rahane will take a back seat and allow Rahul to dictate.
Yes.
And
whoever's
left out of those
two, Norman, if he plays the shot he played in the last over last night, he nearly broke his back trying to reach that. I know he came up laughing, but if he'd nicked that, he would have not had a very, very good welcoming back in the dressing room. So I think
that would have been disgraceful.
Shows that he's also nervous as well. So.
Oh, he's under enormous pressure, absolutely enormous pressure as Rahane, because there were 4 or 5 batters that could come straight into his position like that. I mean, Agarwal's waiting. Obviously now Rahul will be there with Gill coming back eventually. Oh my God! And even the likes of Prithvi Shaw floating around in Vihari, they're all ready to go.
They've all got very short memories, Norman, from the way that he played in Australia.
I know. No, I know that. And he captained them and led the side and did all the right things. I totally
but the way
agree.
he batted, he was outstanding. The way he just
I mean, the problem that both Pujara and Rahane are suffering is that you're conveniently taking a look at the numbers. The numbers bit, in particular for Rahane, it's that he scored that particular century, but his contributions elsewhere with the bat has been pretty pedestrian. But look at the leadership skills that he has had to offer. The same with Cheteshwar Pujara. Yes, for 10 consecutive innings, he's not scored over 25. He's gobbled up a lot of balls. He didn't force the pace. Maybe Pujara is on thin ice at this point in time, because look, he may have the template of occupying the crease might have worked well in Australia, but it's not working in England. It's not working in South Africa at this point in time. So either Pujara steps up and supports that number 3 position, because see, number 3 has to dictate the pace. That's what Dravid did. He was the glue. He scored as well. He didn't get into a shell. When he went into a shell, the whole batting floundered. That is why Pujara is on thinner ice. I think Rahane should be given a bit of a longer rope because of the way his leadership skills are on display.
Yeah,
I think. Sid, I don't know whether you've listened to me sort of talk about the dramas of having to select and the difference between batsmen and bowlers. And I think if I had my time again, I would show a lot more latitude to the batsmen than probably to the bowlers, because there's so many factors and match situations. It's just not just about the number. And because if that was the case, every side has somebody who gets 40s or 50s that are worth gold dust because of the wicket or the match situation. You know, and you can't compare that against a guy who gets 150 on a flat wicket against an attack that can't bowl. You know, what's more important? So I think if you change it too much, you put some of the incumbents under unnecessary pressure. And then the person coming in, what are you going to say to him? You're in for 1 match, 3 matches, 4 matches? So I would just hang on to them until you're obviously, and you know, I hope it works for Sibley and Burns. You can imagine the press in the UK and the Cricket Spectator are wanting change or whatever. So I hope I hope for their sakes, they're two lovely guys. I hope they succeed because that's what you want people to do. So.
Well,
You
look,
don't
I'm a
you
believer
don't
in what you're saying.
You don't James Bracey scenario where it's taken a long time for him to overcome that because he took himself off social media. He's had a really, really tough time, and ironically, such are the fortunes of sport in general is that actually he yesterday broke the record for the number of catches in a one-day game for Gloucestershire.
Really?
Where 3 weeks before Sid, he was wanting to burn his gloves, let alone wear them. So,
Oh my goodness.
Look, you're bringing up the point. I agree with what you're saying, especially around selection. I think the likes of Rahane and obviously Pujara, Kohli, and even Sharma, they should be given longer bows as a batter. And I'm very impressed with the Indian selectors for not bowing to pressure, which is obviously coming from left, right, and centre to get rid of them. They deserve long bows, and they'll come good. I'm pretty sure Pujara and Rahane will come good at some stage through this series. That was my thought.
I tried to reverse it, Sid, and say, if you can get in the heads of the opposition, who least would they like to be on the game? And
Indeed.
ask yourself that question, that they would probably quite like they would prefer to have changes made to the Indian lineup that people might be under a bit of pressure, rather than the established players that are just one innings away from going back to their normal form. And you are playing in England, but it does seem around a lot. So anyway, guys,
now David, I brought Munchie on. Hello, Munchie. How are you?
Good morning, Norman. Good morning, Sid, and especially good morning to you, David. It's a pleasure, sir.
No, pleasure.
Morning, Munchie.
But Munchie, I haven't brought you on for frivolities. Explain yourself, please. What was that comment all about? Explain yourself.
Well, no, I think David was just actually talking about it very succinctly as I was logging myself on. A lot of the public, myself, I'm reasonable club cricketer. I was, I'm certainly not a professional like David was, or a selector, or Adam Holyoke, etc. But when you see the technique of Sibley and Burns, there's a lot that can go wrong in it. When you look at someone like Sharma or Rahane or KH Rahul or even Crawley, they are a nice standard traditional technique that you would see. So if there's something that goes wrong, you minor adjustments. But what I noticed with Sibley, he's always trying to play across his pads. Burns, the ball's coming from gully to fine leg to long on. That bat's going all over the place. And so when things go wrong, there's always a struggle as a spectator to say, well, why is this people playing? Because you don't trust them. You think there's a wicket or it's always going to happen. So when I was talking about the streams, Norman, I wasn't being derogatory about the streams at all, because you know how much I enjoy them and interacting with everyone. Yeah, but it's the fact that when they come out to bat, and David's spoken about scoreboard pressure, and Sid's spoken about it as well, is when you come out there, when we reach say 20 without loss, we breathe a sigh of relief. When we get to 50 without loss, it's like, oh my God, unforbidden territory. What's going on here? Because there is the form that Burns and Sibley have had just isn't there. And because there are so many moving parts in their batting technique, you think, how is it going to be easier to correct these things? Whereas when you compare it to, say, a traditional batsman like Crawley, and I think David's picked up on this before, and I know other commentators have had, he just needs a bit of rest away from the spotlight to go back, score some runs, get some confidence, and he will come back. He scored 200 against Pakistan last year. He's a good batsman. But then Burns and Sibley, we keep trying and testing them, and I'm glad Hamid's in this test, because I watched him in the warm-up game and he was solid, and that's what you like. That's just my profession, my opinion.
But don't you think, Munchie, we've got to and there are obviously reasons for it, for the commercial sanity of the game in this country, but I would have thought actually before the series started that the match referee would have gone into both dressing rooms and said, guys, this is a red ball. You haven't seen any of these for a while, but this is actually what you're going to be playing with. So,
oh no, I completely agree, David. Very good. The schedule has been mental, and I've advocated this for quite a while, that we need to bring back more emphasis on the 4-day game.
Yeah,
I think
and
people have
I
said,
know it's difficult to fit in. Alan Fordham, I know really well.
Mm.
You know, it's a real challenging task for him to do the fixture list.
Yeah.
But to answer
And I
the
know-
question about Burns and Sibley, then it begs the question: who would come in? Because what evidence have you got of anybody scoring lots of runs in a a longer form of the game? So that is. We
Well,
spoke
I
the
was-
last time with Norman, and it is a volume of cricket they're playing. Munchie is that I'm not saying you have to have a match in between every single Test match,
No.
but you also need. There comes a period of time you've got a touring party. The way the game is played now, even halfway through the tour, you couldn't play them because they haven't played any cricket. So
Yeah.
you have to stick with what you've got. So
I was predominantly a bowler, and I found it if we'd had 3 or 4 weeks rained off or intermittent games, when you came to start bowling again, you needed time to get back into the rhythm. And it must be the same as a professional batsman as well. You know, if you out for say a couple of ducks and then you're back into another test match, and the spotlight's back on you. Whereas having that game in between, you can have a rest, you can go back to the county, less fearsome bowling, and then get that confidence back again.
well,
I go back to the old days, in terms of where we used to have about a 10-day break.
Too, but
Yeah.
I can tell you a story of when my uncle was brought back to play for England. They toured the West Indies, and Jeff Boycott was a young man now. This is the series that was declared at tea time on the last day, which was an extraordinary thing to do. Only he could have got away with it, and England actually won the Test match. But in the game before the Barbados Test match, they played Barbados. So they played quite a lot of cricket, and Colin Cowdrey was captain, and Tom was his vice captain. So Colin had a rest, and Tom captained, and he basically told, it was a 3-day game, Jeff Boycott to bat for the whole match, which he very nearly did. He batted for 2
I can believe that,
days.
Jeff. Yeah.
He just loved the instructions. So yeah, but I do think that maybe I come from an old-fashioned thing that actually, bowling, hitting, and time in the middle is the best way to retain your form.
Yeah.
Again, this isn't a Tom Graveney show, but for the whole of his career, whether it be in England, Australia, or whatever, he had a net every single day of his life.
Yeah. Well, he's a legend. Yeah, you got to include Tom. Yeah.
Well, he did score 138 centuries, for God's sake. My gosh.
He did get a few. Yeah.
But that's it. And I think the way that the tests are back to back to back with a few days in between, the players may have a net, but that's not the same. You're going from one pressurized situation to another pressurized situation. And Sid was talking about it earlier. I think India need 400 as a minimum. If they don't get 400, I would consider that a failure, given the start that they've had. Because as soon as they 400, 450, 500, the batsmen are coming out. And as you've said, David, you're looking then, what's the following going to be? And straight away, rather than trying to concentrate on their skills and survival, it's nervousness. And as soon as you're not thinking in the correct way, then half the battle's lost.
It's hard because you look up the scoreboard and you're not making any dents in it. So that gives confidence to the bowling side. And, the Test matches in England, as you know, there's a fantastic Indian representation in the crowd. So,
it's great. I'm loving it. Yeah.
This is not an away game. So.
But David, Munchie, and Norman, I would just like to ask: with so much cricket being played, you've also got the 100 running side by side. The county has taken a break because of the 100. You've got the Test matches going on. There'll be a lot of matches played on so many pitches. 2 factors. Because you have to rotate your bowlers, you have to rotate your players, the quality of opposition that you get in warm-up games suffers.
Yeah.
Second, playing so many matches, doesn't it destroy the freshness of the pitch and what the uniqueness it has about the pitch? For example, you play so many
deal with the pitch scenario, Sid, because in this country, they've gone for and the squares are not like in Australia, for instance. You play at the MCG, you play a match, they just sprinkle a bit of water on it, roll it because it's about 50 degrees heat, and it just comes back to what it was before. In England, as you might have noticed or seen on the TV, we do get a bit of rain from time to time. And so what they've developed is a hybrid pitch, which is a mixture of normal grass and artificial grass, which holds the pitch together. So basically, you can play it up for a lot longer. Some of them. And if you're a successful one-day team in the UK, your wickets in the middle of the square get absolutely hammered. So actually, the end product becomes, low spinning wickets, which is not necessarily what you want. So they're starting to use hybrid pitches, like the ones that have been at Edgbaston in the 100-ball game, where the ball has been thrashed from here to Kingdom Come, which is what, as a bowler, I'm not much a great fan of it, but spectators like it.
Was it
but
200 yesterday?
Muncie's got to, David's got to stop you there. Muncie's got to go. Muncie's got to go. He's only had a short time here. Munchie, what's that background? What's the background? What's your background?
The background here is actually Philadelphia Cricket Club.
There you go.
Now, I was 2001, 2002. I was working in Philadelphia. The first weekend I was there, I did a query for was there cricket in Philadelphia and football. Now, I'd arrived in March and they told me, the football season had finished. I said, no, proper football, none of your American rubbish. But being Philadelphia, there was an English pub, so I found it. But I also got in contact with a team called the British Officers of Philadelphia, which was a complete expat team. And at the end of April, May, they have a big festival in Philadelphia with teams coming all over the country in America and teams coming from the UK as well, playing on these old cricket grounds that were built in the 1850s. So you've got Germantown, Philadelphia, Merion. You can look them up. They are basically now lawn tennis courts, but they allow a cricket tournament to take place on lawn tennis courts. So they roll a mat out. And actually, you can see, if I move out the way, there you go. That's my big fat ass just about to dab the ball down. But it's playing on the best outfield in the world because that ball just runs. But I just wanted to make one comment to talk about Sid about the wickets before I disappear off. Was that during the commentary on the hundreds, they were talking about the wickets that they were being used, and some of them were degrading, so the scores weren't as high. But they were talking about playing either side of the test wickets. So I think what they'll do, the groundsmen will keep that test track immaculate, or as best as they can. Mat it over, cover it, etc. So you probably won't find when you get to Manchester or Edgbaston, you're playing on an old wicket for the test match. That will be pristine. But certainly for the other games, you will expect some wear and tear.
Indeed.
All right, sorry to interrupt you.
Thanks, everyone, but I must shoot off.
See you, Munchie.
Bye, Munchie. Bye.
Sorry, Sid and David. I just had to interrupt because he messaged me that we had to go, so I thought I'd just throw him in and get him to go.
No, I've got to go soon as well. I'm going to ring all these players till they've been selected. So,
David, I'm precious of any time you give us. So I'm excited that you're with us. So it's sad to see you when you leave. When you do, I'd like to have you on for 4 or 5 hours.
I'll bore you by that. Sid,
no, you won't. Complete.
I'm very confident you will be bowled out by lunchtime. That is slightly wishful thinking. So.
All right, David, if you're up to it, I'll send you the after game link, okay?
Super. Good luck. Have a good day, lads. Bye-bye.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David.
Amazing to have David. I'm happy they come on. I always feel privileged when they come on, Sid. It's just lovely to have people come on, spend their time. And imagine the day when COVID's no longer an issue and we can travel physically and meet all of these people that we have connections with through this show and through other platforms. I can't wait to be with you in India. I can't wait for you to come to Australia to meet up with David Gravely, for God's sake, and Simon Willis and Chris and Reg and Munchie. We'll have a great time together. We'll have a lunch or a dinner somewhere. We might even do a live show together. Who knows? Have some fun.
Indeed. Yep. I mean, imagine you and me at the SCG. Why not?
You're talking to Mr. SCG here. You want to do anything in SCG? We're going to do it. We're going to go. You're going to get the full works. You're going to get the Norman Kochnick tour. We're going to go to grave sites of Victor Trumper. We can go and see where Harold Larwood is cremated. I did that with Goldson. We did that with Borea. You talk to any of those guys, they've had nothing but good times when they've been with me. We'll go. We'll meet up with Neil Harvey, if hopefully he's still alive. Alan Davidson. We'll get a hold of Dougie Wallers and go and see Lenny Pascoe's home. We'll go and chuff off, or hopefully we'll bring Jeff down.
If time permits, for me, my personal trip would be Bill Lawry, meeting him.
Well, he's in Victoria, not New South Wales, so that's
Melbourne.
But I mean, we can connect with those guys. We'll go to Barrel. We'll sort that out and do it properly. you've seen nothing. You wait until you come.
I know. Fingers
All right.
crossed. Fingers crossed.
So okay, I hope you got a bit of time because I'm sure Apana can't make it. She's in an Uber somewhere. She said she'll be here for the a lot of people. Both David and Apana will be there for the after show. So now I want to get down to the nitty gritty about India. We've talked a lot about, and a lot of people are asking questions like, it's sad to see England don't have that much wicket-taking fast bowlers at present, except Anderson. That's not true, I don't think. I think they've got a lot of players in their stocks. Ollie Stone, Robinson, who's playing now. Mark Wood, although he's not exactly in the best of form because he hasn't played all year.
Yep.
There are quite a few bowlers they've got, and obviously Overton's there as well. And the one that really, I think, will be used earlier than expected will be Sakib Mahmood. I actually hope he gets a Guernsey this series. This would have been the perfect test match to have had him play it, really.
Actually, yes.
Maybe they could have. Well, Broad was out, and his replacement was, well, the reason Broad is out. I'm now forgetting who's in. Who did Broad get replaced for? By Moeen Ali, effectively.
Moeen Ali, yep.
So they didn't replace like for like there.
Yeah.
Moeen Ali didn't bowl badly at all, but I don't know whether he's going to get an opportunity to do it. His batting might become extremely important when they're 4 or 5 down and he's in. He's capable of scoring centuries. So
yes.
how many? He must have scored quite a few centuries for England. I don't know how many he has, but he's
I think he has 3 centuries. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
How many? 3.
3. I think. Let me just see, because he's not had enough runs against Australia because of Nathan Lyon, unfortunately. So
KL Rahuls, you've got some. Well, he's got 2,200
Oh, he's
runs.
got 5 test centuries. He's got 5.
That's pretty damn impressive. You've got to remember, that's pretty damn impressive.
Yes.
I mean, he's really, and he's batted very high in the order as well, not just simply made the numbers at the back.
Yep.
So he could become. I actually predict when England bats that Sibley and Burns will have trouble. Hamid, because it's his first test back, maybe lucky, maybe not. I can't see Root continuing on and scoring another century. He may, but I doubt it. So that starts to put more and more pressure on the batsman to follow.
Root, Butler, Bairstow, Moeen. Those 4 hold the key. Those 4. Remove 2 of them, that's it. The batting is gone.
Yeah.
And if you look at Rory Burns, it reminds me of the late great Philip Hughes. If I have to look at the way how he bats, the way how his bat comes at an angle. Technically very, very vulnerable, but if he gets going, he gets going. Of course, not as flashy and dashing as Philip Hughes was, but he does remind me a bit of that for the way how his bat comes down.
Imagine if Phil Hughes was still playing now. I think it's been 7 years now since he passed.
November 25, 2014.
Yeah. So he would have probably played 80 on tests by now and would have scored big. I think he would have been a sensation. He really is a player that, he was dropped, then he came back into the side. He was just about to return to the side. He was playing well for South Australia. He was actually, I think, picked in the squad to play, or the team to play. It would have been the launching of his second stage of his career. It's so frustrating because wasn't it? Do you remember that time against South Africa when he batted and he scored those? I think it was 2 centuries. Or was it 2 centuries?
115 and 1. I think he hit a 150, I suppose.
That was the most magnificent play.
Yeah.
It was something special about it. It was something quirky but special about it. I know he seemed very one-sided, but oh my God.
The only Australian to hit a century on debut. ODI debut. The only Australian.
But that shows a bit of spark, doesn't it? When players do such things, that they're showing that they're going to be something, in my opinion.
I know.
I
will never forget that thing because Philip Hughes was my first breaking news that I had.
Really?
Yes. I just couldn't believe it. I was stunned.
I was there. I was there. I was in the ladies' stand. It was only a very small crowd in the members' ladies' stand because it was a state match. I'm an SCG member. I was there, and I remember. I can vividly remember him going out to bat, and I think back at that moment now, and it scares me because if I think back, that was a moment that man went onto that field and would never come back alive, effectively.
Yeah, I know.
So, And when it all happened, the players were in complete mess. They put this big white sheet up and they got a helicopter and all sorts of things. It was evident. Anyone who was there knew the mood was of a person who immediately was dead. That there was some sort of an attempt to revive him beyond the reality of it. I've never seen a more devastating and somber ground in my life. It was the most. It was almost hard to believe that it happened. It really was. It was hard enough to believe if you weren't there, but when you were actually there, it was even harder because the ball was Sean Abbott. He's fast, yes. He's not slow, but he's
135-ish, 135 kmph. Yeah,
he's a bit of an innocuous top bowler. He doesn't really. He's not at that stage. He was very. I didn't even call him timid. He didn't. I really don't. He hasn't gone on to play for Australia. Put it that way properly. I think he may have played a one day or something, but he's really not gone on to Test status, and he probably won't. It was quite a shock.
Yeah, I mean, I just was stunned. Oh God, has it happened? And then 23 years later, I realized that a cricket ball can kill you. I mean, Raman Lamba in India, he was hit on the temple. Big pull shot. He was at short leg. He didn't wear a helmet at that time. Manjul Rana hit one pull shot, hit his temple, went to square leg. He was okay, giddy, went to the dressing room, but then died.
But see, there's a difference between a batter without a helmet. It's there, okay? So when you've got a helmet and the way, and Steve Smith plays the same way and has been hit very similarly.
Yeah,
the fact that you will turn your head completely around to the ball, I cannot understand that under any. It's funny because I always think that batters should be given a time in the nets to face a tennis ball that's thrown straight at their head repetitively and see how they react, and not allow them to have a helmet, but it's a tennis ball. So let them learn how to get out of the way of the ball without actually getting out of the way. What I mean by that is not ducking, and you've got to keep your eyes on the ball. You literally have to do this and watch the ball go like that. It actually sounds ridiculous, but if you're there and the ball's there, you should be able to get out of the way of it. Or at the very worst, let it hit you front on, because if it hits you on the mouth, nose, and even the cheekbone, you'll be bruised and damaged, but you'll never die. It's when you turn your head that you expose your temple. And when you turn your head totally around, I can't even comprehend how you could do that. So I'm not trying to downgrade what Phil Hughes has done. Like, I'm not blaming Phil Hughes, but it still is a remarkable dismissal for me. It really is.
Yeah.
Really just talking about remarkable dismissals. Good. How are you?
Good. Very good. Very happy with how the day went yesterday. I don't think as an Indian fan you can complain much, except for maybe
you
Virat
shouldn't be
Kohli.
complaining at all. What is it? What do you mean complain much? There should be no complaints whatsoever.
But we are greedy people. We are greedy people. You should know that by now. We want Rohit Sharma to score 100. We want KL Rahul to score 100. We want Pujara to score runs. We want Kohli to score runs. We want Rahane to score runs. We want a quick fire 50 from Prant. We want Jadeja to take a fifer. We want we basically want all 11 players to be performing all the time. So
I mean, if I have to look at Gil's point, I mean, imagine Rohit Sharma's first overseas century would have been Lords. Even Sachin never got 100 there. So that's it. The debate on Rohit Sharma's overseas performance would have ended right there if he had gotten that 100.
But
I don't think
still
that
has ended because he's got 83.
He scored 83,
yeah, a very fine innings. So yeah, I mean there was only slight disappointment with the way Virat got out in the end, because again that was a delivery that he should have left, and for some reason, so I tweeted this yesterday as well, that there, if someone who's followed Virat Kohli's career, if you look from the period after England 2014 till the end of 2018, or probably till the World Cup, those 5 years there was a different kind of assurance to Virat Kohli's batting. You knew that however bad or however he will bat, he'll still end up scoring 40-50 runs regardless of the format. He'd get beaten, but he will score 40-50 runs anyway. But that assurance in his game has gone out a little bit. Okay, He did too, but he just nearly saved himself from chopping onto Moeen Ali, and he just an over before he had survived getting out to Anderson. And
Oh God! You know
if you
what?
look at
Oh my God! You were too hard on him. For God's sake, gosh, he got 42 runs, and you're acting like he got one. Come on, the poor guy.
yeah,
That's
we,
the high
we
standards that Virat has set. That's the high
you,
standards, unfortunately, he said.
yeah, Norman, unlike your team, okay, we think that our batsmen can score more than 120 runs, okay? So we need to have those high standards.
Look, we have got high standards, but I think it's more high standards than the pitches of a high level, maybe in the mountains. That's the only high we've got. Look, we're going through an atrocious period. I can't forget when the Indians around the 80s, when they were getting smashed by Australia, and it was almost like, oh my God, an Indian team. How long is this going to last?
It's too
We've
bad
had
that
our moments too.
it's too bad that I was born in '96, so I can't remember
Yeah, I do.
When you
I,
had, we
I
had
lived
Madam,
I
through
don't
that
remember.
period. I
when your
lived through that
fastest bowler
period,
was
so I would
Madam
know.
Lull, when Madam Lull was your fastest bowler, he bowled little donkey drops. Come on, that was horrible. Madam Lull was about 4'3". He looked like he was a baby coming into bowl. We thought, have you got anyone of age in your team or what? And the batsmen sort of got out and they walked off as if, oh, I better get off now.
No, but you had two bowlers who would clock over 130, 135 in that era also. Chetan Sharma and Kapil Dev. In that era.
Kapil Dev was the only one that had any. Okay, I won't talk about batsmen. I'm talking about bowlers. Indian bowlers, I'm sorry, were pithy on average.
Yeah.
They were pretty pithy.
Indeed.
Bishop Batty and Prasanna were good spinners back in their day, yes. But the rest of the Indian bowling attack, no Australian would remember any of them because none of them are notable. Kapil Dev was, yes, but on average they were pretty bloody ordinary. There was something, you had an anti-fast bowling union in India, didn't you?
Yeah.
Thou shalt not be a fast bowler. What happened there?
I mean, you look at the fortunes of the Indian team at that time. You had spinners dominating, but then in Pakistan, you had the likes of Wasim, Waqar, Imran.
Exactly.
Oh boy.
Exactly.
Oh,
didn't the Indian selectors go past Amritsar and have a look up there? They would have had truckloads of young, tall, fast bowlers running around. What were they doing with it? They should have.
We have to blame the British for that. If there was no partition, you would have had Wasim Waqar playing for us.
I know.
Yeah, I remember this joke doing the rounds in the early 2000s as well. That you could make one team with all the Indian batsmen, and you take
the Pakistan
bowlers from Pakistan, and then you can beat any team in the world. Anyway, so coming back to Virat, I think that assurance in the game has slightly gone missing, and I really can't pinpoint to any specific reason as to why. One of the things that I can think right now is that because predominantly Virat is a front foot batsman, I think he sometimes misses out on a few lengths where he can cut, but he really doesn't play the cut shot, or he doesn't really play the dabs. So his scoring areas have also become slightly restricted, which is also the case with Chiteshwar Pujara, who stopped playing the pull or the hook. When you restrict your scoring area slightly, then you just tend to build a lot more pressure than you on yourself than what you would do normally. And I think that is also a function of Virat probably realizing that maybe the middle order is not strong enough for him to take those many risks which he used to take in 2018. Because if you look at his innings in Johannesburg on a very spiteful pitch where the ball was doing all kinds of things, he was batting outside the crease to Kagiso Rabada and driving him even on that Johannesburg pitch. So that is the kind of confidence there in Virat's game at a point of time, which is gone missing. I hope it comes back with a few runs under his belt, and hopefully the next 100 is around the corner.
All he needs is to have a little bit of luck go his way, and he gets 100, and then he's going to absolutely explode. I reckon we'll see a series of centuries follow where he'll become. It's really only in one place. It's up here. The talent's still there. He hasn't lost any of that. It's not gone. It's just being unlocked up here. If he would have got past the 40-odd mark and gone on, he would have got a massive century. And then the rest of the series, we'll be talking about how many centuries Kohli would have got. I really do think that we need to unlock him. I think that unlocking will occur, and it's like letting him out, letting a bunch of, wolves out. He'll just go nuts. I'm certain of that. You mark my words that when he lets loose, he'll let loose for a numerous number of games.
Indeed.
Don't you
Just needs
think?
one good
Gil?
knock. One good knock. That's it.
Gil, don't you think that? Gil's not. Are you there, Gil?
I think yesterday he did have some of the luck. The luck was missing when he was batting in Adelaide when he got that run out. The luck was missing when he scored those 250s versus England at home, both in Chennai, where he got a 50-50 decision and then a ball stayed very low. But I think that luck is slightly coming back because he was batting well in the WTC final as well in the first innings. He labored to a 44 and he looked very assured. He had a control percentage of around 90. So I think yesterday he had some luck, but hopefully even more. But he still has to be, by his standards. If you follow, anyone who's followed Virat, you know that he's not the kind of batsman who would repeat his dismissals. So by his standards, both the dismissals that he has had in this series have been fishing outside the fifth stump when he really shouldn't be. One was his first ball, and then just 3 or 4 overs before stumps. So that is where Virat would be harsh on himself. Anyone can get out. This is the same thing that I say for Ajinkya Rahane as well. That anyone can get out. It's a game where the bowlers are also supposed to dominate. It's just down to the fact that how do you get out? It's not that Rohit didn't get out. Rohit also got out, but that was Anderson's artistry more than Rohit playing a bad shot. Same for
That was a
Pujara
great
because
ball.
Pujara
That was a great ball.
Yeah, exactly. Pujara had been set up by Anderson by coming in and then going slightly away from the crease and then drawing him forward. So it's fine to get out. It's just how you get out that sometimes gets on the nerves of the fans.
I'm going to just share with you something while I talk. There's a moment that's just happened, and you won't necessarily be seeing as we're talking. I've just reached 19,000 subscribers. So I'm very happy about that. As we've been talking, I've gained some subscribers. I've gone to 19,000. So thank you to guys like you, Gil, and obviously the Siddharth, and obviously David Gravely and a whole bunch of other people. I'm really proud of this, that I've actually been able to reach 19,000 subscribers. That's a big deal to me. I'm hoping to go to 20 and beyond, obviously, but 19,000 is a bit of a watershed mark, and it's always nice to reach those sort of targets. So I thank you all for that, especially the viewers. So anyone online, thank you. You've all been part of it. And I guess the main thing is that people have been able to share my channel. Look, I'm very proud of this, and I love the friendships that I bring together. Like both you, Sid, and Gil, obviously with David Gravely, the Vernons, right through to even Alan Mullally. We're all it's a great camaraderie. There's going to be a day. When that will be, we don't know, that I'll come to India, that you'll come to Australia, we'll go to England, and we're going to share this experience over a good dinner, have a nice night out. I can't wait for that. I mean, I feel like I know you now well enough, but meeting you will add that extra spark, don't you think?
Yes. Now the time of meeting people physically has to come. Fingers crossed I get the chance for 2022 Australia. Hope. Or maybe if we can meet in 2021 in Dubai, who knows?
Well, let's hope that happens. But I mean, you'll probably go a little bit jealous when you see how attractive I am in person. I mean, my real good looks, you don't see them.
You'll get competition, Norman. You'll get competition.
Gil, you're not making any comments then. Are you suggesting there's something you're not making?
Yeah, I was letting you enjoy your 2 minutes of fame. I didn't want to rain on your parade. I was like, let it be for now. Yeah.
All right, Siddharth, did you want to go? You're okay to go?
Yes. Got to resume my work.
All right, Siddharth, thanks for joining. Gil, you're not going anywhere.
Normal.
Right.
No, I'm here. I'm here till 3:30 when the play begins.
Yep.
Perfect.
Thanks, Norman. Thanks, Gil.
Thank you, Sid. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Now you said 3:30. That's 3:30 Indian time, correct? Which is 11 o'clock out. So, David, I don't know whether you get a chance to hear what David Gravely says. It's just he lets go some incredible comments about his experiences, and we talk about selections, and we talk about the damning nature of Indian fans. They want it. If someone doesn't perform, they want them sacked, such as Pujara or even Rahane and the like. the best thing Indian selectors have done, they've kept this side stable. It's the best thing that's happened. They've made minimal changes. I think that's actually, despite losing the World Test Championship, it's coming to fruition now. I really think that, because I still think, I maintain that the Indian lineup, despite little changes which had to occur, like Thakur leaving because of his injury, the side's very stable.
See,
It's amazing.
what also helps is that the team has been winning. When you're winning, you can carry one or two players who are not doing well. When you're winning, there aren't any calls for someone's heads, right? But when you're losing, then there are
Yeah.
calls for to drop this person, to drop this player, to drop this, etc., etc. I firmly believe that if India do not win this series, one of Pujara or Rahane will be shown the door, because they've been underwhelming for some time now. Pujara also hasn't scored 100 since Sydney 2019, the last time India had toured Australia. He's played a few home series as well and still not scored runs. He averages 25 in his last 22. Ajinkya Rahane also doesn't average more than 30 in the last 1.5 year, and we all know how he gets dismissed. Virat Kohli hasn't also been in great form, but he's literally carried the team and the batting around him when he was in his peak in 2016, 2017, and 2018. So he's there to stay still. But I genuinely believe that if India do not win this series, one of Pujara or Rahane might be shown the door, and perhaps rightly so. But if India do win the series despite them not scoring enough runs, maybe they might still stay because the team has won. But it is how things happen. If you lose, then there are calls for somebody's heads. If you win, then everything seems all well and good, which might not be the case always, because sometimes you just have performers that take you through. Like, if you look at the 2019 Ashes between Australia and England, where it ended 2-2, had it not been for Steve Smith, England would have won that Ashes very comfortably, 3-1 or maybe even 4-0. So that is what I'm saying, that it's not that things were great with the Australian side. Didn't score runs. He had scored just 95 runs in 10 innings. Tim Payne hadn't scored a lot of runs. There was perhaps a completely non-existent middle order. Matthew Wade scored one century, but after that he's not scored runs. So just because Australia had been able to draw the series and then regain the Ashes because they had won previously, a lot of changes didn't happen. Mike Mitchell Stark wasn't at his best, and he's been carried around for the around the team for some time now. So that is what a result does in terms of team selection. If you keep winning, despite a few underperformers, they stay in the team. But if you lose, then that performance can make you lose your way in the side.
But it should always be, if you're selected to play for your country, it's harder to be dropped than it is to be selected. What I'm getting at is any player that's picked for a series like this, other than a bowler that may be injured or whatever the reason is, if a batting lineup's picked for the 5 tests, they ought to be given the opportunity to play all 5 tests. That's the approach that should be undertaken, and I think that's what India have done.
That is the ideal approach, but because what also happens with quality sides like India and maybe even England and Australia and New Zealand, like, when you don't have people doing well in the 11, there are 3 or 4 replacements outside the 11 that are waiting to grab that opportunity. India has Hanuma Vihari, India has Mayank Agarwal, and from the third test, the likes of Prithvi Shaw and Surya Kumar Yadav will also be available. There's Abhimanyu Easwaran as well. So you already have 4 or 5 players outside the 11 who are waiting to take that opportunity. So the pressure becomes even more. Had it been, say, some other team people to replace you, then it wouldn't have been the case. But when you have good replacements available, then also it brings a certain amount of pressure with it.
But to be honest with you, the Australian team they do not have 3 or 4 players knocking on the door to make the Australian side. I'm talking
Not
now
right
about
now.
Test.
I'm not
Not
talking
Test.
of the current era or the last 2 years. I'm talking of before 2015.
Oh, no
Where,
doubt, no doubt.
yeah, someone like Michael Hussey had to wait till the age of 29, 30 to make his debut. So that is what I'm talking about.
But there's one thing that I would do with the
That's what I'm
Australian side, talking about that for a moment. Usman Khawaja should come back in. He, to me, is the one player that Australia's got. There's 2. Curtis Patterson, who did well in his opportunities he had before. He had an injury. Curtis Patterson and Usman Khawaja, they're the two players I would bring into the Australian team this summer. I would not entertain any other batsmen coming in. Pekoski should stay. Warner Smith obviously will be there as well with Labuschagne. But the middle order should be not Travis. Travis Head's gone. Matthew Wade's gone. They're all gone. Cameron Green's perhaps there as the all-rounder. But effectively, Usman Khawaja and Curtis Patterson are experienced like, I would argue, like a KL Rahul. They should be re-entering the team. That's my only thoughts on that, and leave it. Usman Khawaja is still playing well. He captained Queensland in the state final this year.
I think someone like Justin Langer also deserves some blame for dropping Usman Khawaja. I think it wasn't the right call to drop him, especially when you didn't have a solid number 3 or anyone around who could bat. If you have Usman Khawaja at number 3, or even if you have him as opening, then there's a lot more stability. Usman Khawaja at number 3, you can have Smith at 4, and then you can have Labuschagne at 5. So that lends a lot of stability and solidity to the middle order, which goes missing when you have Travis Head or Matthew Wade at number 5.
Actually, tell you the truth, I think I've just come to a decision in my mind about when we talked about Usman Khawaja. He captained Queensland to a winning state series. There is your future Australian captain. Other than Jason Sangha, which I've mentioned before, there's no reason why Usman Khawaja couldn't be Australia's captain. That's my thoughts. And that would be a very... Adam Holyoake, Adam will be on from tomorrow onwards, by the way. He'll be doing the pre-show for the next 2 or 3 days. Monty was meant to be on today. I think he was pulled away. He might still turn up. Monty might still turn up. He'll come late as well. The reality is that Adam Holyoake swears blind that Usman Khawaja is a fantastic captain. He's been obviously he's the batting coach for Queensland. Is Adam Holyoake, and he said that Usman Khawaja did so well for Queensland. Was that an obvious selection for an Australian captaincy then? Because Steve Smith should not captain Australia again. Full stop. After what happened with Sandpaper Gate, you can't return back to that. With Warner still on the side, you can't go back to that. That won't be right. They've got to break from that. Steve Smith can still play for Australia, but he shouldn't captain Australia. And Usman Khawaja would be the solution, other than Aaron Finch.
I do personally believe that the ban was harsh, but my feeling is that he shouldn't be captaining Australia because I don't find him tactically very strong enough. There have been times when I've felt that he's still the same for someone like a Joe Root as well. Now, I don't remember any other English team choosing to bowl first after winning the toss yesterday. Now, Joe Root deciding to do that was also a reflection of him not being confident enough in England's batting resources, and that speaks a lot. That speaks a story. And I tweeted the same. I don't think any English captain would have chosen to bowl first, looking at how the weather was yesterday, because you also ask for the next 4 days. There isn't a lot of rain predicted, and I'd say that Joe Root is very lucky that Ashwin's not playing, because if Ashwin was playing and England had to bat 4th, then it would have been so difficult for them, especially like I said, considering Moeen Ali, Burns and Sam Curran all are left-handers. But the thing is that even Ishant Sharma is very good against the left-handers, so Burns and Ali can still be in a lot of trouble. But I have always felt that most of the times, if you win the toss, you should be choosing. Even if you have to avoid the first session where there might be slight movement, because once you have a score on the board, it does put pressure on the on the team batting second. Now, say if India get 350 from here, right? England will still be under pressure, that because they have to bat 4th and they have to put India under pressure, they have to score at least 425 if India score 350. And India might score more than 350. If India score 400, then the chances of India losing this test match become, someone would have to play a blinder. Maybe England would have to score 600 runs to put India under some sort of pressure. So that is what I'm saying. You really don't need to, win the toss and choose to bowl first, especially on a pitch where there might be, where there might not be. It wasn't a green wicket by any stretch of imagination.
No.
It was overcast, but it wasn't green. So it didn't really make sense for Joe Root to choose to bowl first.
Well, I mean, but in both test matches, he's won the toss. and has, you would argue, made wrong decisions. To bat first was probably the right decision, but his team didn't back him up by getting a score. They got 183. And in this match, he went against that and decided to bowl first, and it's gone against him, you would argue. So in both cases, he's really, Kohli's quite happy not to have won the toss. And yeah, that's probably in a bizarre way an advantage. Okay. Have we seen Pujara Rahani's best days were over? Honestly, my honest answer, Pujara, no. I think he has still a lot to offer. With Rahani, I can't really be so confident. But these two guys have hit, 80 or 90 and 70 tests each. They've both capably got 20 more tests in them, maybe even 30. I think if as long as they get form, I don't think they're necessarily in this respect.
30, they are only 31 and 32. So
Yes.
I think this is the age where you know your game so well and inside out. I just think that they probably need to sort it out in the head. I wouldn't really say that their best days are over, because I still feel that they're equipped enough to bat 3 and 5 for India. It's just that the runs are not coming, but I wouldn't really say the best days are over. And if you look at Rahane bat, it's not that there's an issue with Rahane's technique. There's a pattern developing in terms of dismissals where he's nicking off to the keeper, to an outswinging delivery. But for Rahane, there is no such pattern. So when there isn't a pattern for dismissals, you really can't say that the best days of any batsman are done. So
No, that's totally right.
Yeah.
I mean, really, around the 80, 90 or 70 test mark stage is when a batsman has a form of a renaissance. That means that they've learnt and they're stable and they can launch another stage of their career. I think that it's just, and again, David Graveney said this, and I do agree with him. We're here talking about Rahane after what he did in Australia, both captaining the side in Kohli's absence and getting 100 in Melbourne when it was necessary as well. So look, I think Rahane is, I hope that this team stays stable throughout the whole series. And if that means Shaw and Yadav don't get to bat, so be it. I'm sad for Agarwal because he was in, basically, after he didn't get a hit on the first. Was Siraj paid to hit him? I'm joking. The fact is that the reality is that Agarwal
apparently Siraj, so Mayank is apparently very good friends with both Rahul and Siraj, because if you go back to Australia, and if you look at the circumstances in which Siraj played, so his father had passed away and he didn't go back to India because he wanted to play that test match and the series. So every time Siraj would take a wicket, Mayank was the first one to celebrate with him and, dedicate each and every wicket to Siraj's late father. And if you look at Mayank and Rahul,
I was only joking, of course.
They go back cool cricket. So they've been together for now 10, 15 years. So it's just unfortunate, but I suppose one of the happiest people in the Indian dressing room would be Mayank Agarwal for KL success, because they really go back very long as good friends. They play for the same franchise, they open together, so they really understand each other very well. Come from the same state as well, same city. So I don't think there's any harsh feelings.
No, I didn't mean it that way. But the reality is that it's just phenomenal. The Indian team is phenomenal. And the fact they could push away so many good players at the moment and leave Rahane and Pujara in is a testament to. I still think the world of Shastri. Is it definite that he's no longer coaching after the series? Is that definite?
We don't know. There isn't there isn't any official press release from the BCCI. The reports say that he might step down after the World T20. But there isn't a confirmed report or a confirmed story.
It's great, this conversation. Munchie, why is Sam Curran unable to bowl at his best? Munchie said, I'm surprised that it does not get the new ball. He is more effective, both, swinging more, etc., etc. Yeah, I mean, you can't give Sam Curran the new ball when you've got Anderson and Robertson on the side. It's a bit of a difficult selection choice. And obviously when Broad was there, they're mighty more up the order. So it's understandable Sam Curran has to wait his turn a little bit. And it's funny how Munchie's got time to come on the show for 15 minutes, yet he's constantly messaging. Maybe he can get away with it in meetings more, that he can text while talking. I don't know. It's great to see. All right. Actually, Munchie, we keep asking about the weather. Munchie, you're there. I know you're there. Tell us what the weather is exactly now. Here's a question. Oh, hello. This is not nice. You're always playing safe, not a risk taker. But thanks to Chris and Mullally, which makes it a bit boring. Oh, that's nasty. He wants you to fight. He wants you to be nasty to me. That's what he's trying to say. Munchie's saying that Gill is dry and cloudy. Munchie, is that directed towards Gill? I hope it's not. Munchie's not. Gill's not dry and cloudy. Oh, you mean the weather? Oh. Now, is Rahul, don't forget, his highest batting score is 199, Gill. So do you reckon there's a bit of motivation? Yeah.
Against England. Well, of course, I think the motivation for Rahul would be to bat as long as possible because, England as a place is anyway difficult for batsmen runs. And when you're an opening batsman, it becomes all the more difficult. So when you've gotten in and you've, seeing the ball well, you have to make as many runs as possible to ensure that, your average also increases because, there are a few batsmen who play one long innings and ensure that their overall average looks good. So Rahul would probably look to do the same because if you look at the 2018 tour, Rahul didn't score anything except for 149 in the final innings, and that actually made his much better than what it was eventually. So I'd say that there's all the motivation for Rahul to bat as long as possible.
Can you read this comment, Gil? What's your thoughts on this one?
I'm not sure. I think it had more to do with his lack of confidence in England's batting because Ashwin or no Ashwin, you still have to deal with other 5 bowlers. You might have to deal with Jadeja as well, considering the number in the squad and on a 5th day. And then Ishant has a very good record in Lords as well. And if there's variable or uncertain bounce, then someone like Shami can also run through the batting lineup. I think it might have played a part, but I think he would have still chosen to bowl because he doesn't have enough confidence in his team's batting. That is for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a thing. So you're okay. I'm just going through messages as we talk. I'm just going to try to keep tabs on them. Okay, there's a good video there about Lord's dressing room. So, Gil, have you been to England?
Yes.
Have you been to Lord's?
Yes, but not to watch a game. I've done the Lord's tour. It's a fascinating venue. Yeah, really, it's. So I'm not the kind who says that it's the home of cricket, etc., because I feel, I don't think you can just to one venue or say that it is the home of cricket because you find much more passionate fans of the game in Asia. But if you want to study cricket history, if you want to know more about cricket history, then that is one venue you should go to and take a tour of because it does have pieces of history. It does tell you a lot about how the games used to be. I've also seen this what do you call it, the dressing room, the away and the home team dressing room. I've seen the honors board. I've also seen the portraits inside. So it's of history to it, and which is why I'd say that if anyone is a cricket fanatic, he or she must visit the venue and take a tour of it and have a look at the museums as well.
So your top 5, if you had to mention top 5 grounds in the world that impact, and not be Indian centric, be world centric, what would you say your top 5 grounds in the world are?
Yeah, but outside of India, I've only visited Lords as a cricket venue, and I've been to Leeds because I'd watched a World Cup game there, and I'd been to Manchester.
Okay, I'm not necessarily talking about grounds that you've been to, but just in general. I actually have done a video on the top 10 oldest grounds in the world, which quite frankly also are basically the best grounds in the world in terms of experience. And that included Eden Gardens, by the way, and even the Basin Reserve in New Zealand. But the SCG, MCG are obvious. Eden Gardens is obvious. Lords is obvious. There's some very notable grounds. In fact, I'm going to try to unearth that video because it was very interesting. And I went into a lot of detail about the 10 grounds. And I mean, it's about impact. I mean, to me, Newlands is an amazing ground as well. We'll have to get you out on some tours in the future. We'll have to get you involved with. You'll have to run an Indian component of my Trip of a Lifetime tours, and you'll have to organise from your end of the woods to bring people on tour. We'll go to these grounds and watch matches. That's a lot of fun. Couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope cricket resumes soon in Indian grounds with crowds being available, because without the crowds, the charm of Indian stadiums goes missing. Crowds are what make the Indian stadiums what they are. Just the energy that they bring in terms of cheering for the team so loudly and then going extremely silent when a wicket falls or something. So yeah, but if you're talking in terms of the games where the grounds that provide the best pitches, which have always something for both the batsmen and the bowlers, I'd say MCG is one ground that I really like watching test matches on when they are on TV. Then Edgbaston is one ground which I enjoy watching, test matches on. I've always, liked the pitches that they lay out. Then another ground that I enjoy a lot, especially when matches are held there. I've not visited that ground, but it is the Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bangalore. The pitches that they
What a
provide,
great ground.
I really like the pitches that they provide for the game. One Khede is another. Then yeah, like I said, Lords for the history it provides, and then uh, South Africa, I'd say Johannesburg. Johannesburg is one ground where I enjoy watching the games. I always look forward to matches in Johannesburg. Also, they also always have a sense of history attached to it, because there's
There's been a question
the
about
pink.
Montero Stadium.
Yeah, I don't
Montero
think so.
Stadium, obviously. Well,
I-
not at this
I-
stage, but it'll develop to be.
Yeah, not right now. I don't think. I also feel that when it comes to India, I don't think anyone can match the crowds in Wankhede in Mumbai.
Well, even Brabourne, the way that's an amazing venue as well. They have
Yeah.
the history. I mean, that's quite frankly got more history, hasn't it? It was one of the oldest grounds. That Megan Gardens, I think, are the two oldest. Okay. A lot of questions about Norman. Have I visited Queenstown? Absolutely, amazing place, fantastic place. I've been very lucky to have done virtually all of New Zealand at some stage or another, whether it's cricket or not. I'll be there post match. So yeah, Ramarani's just confirming that he'll be there. He's not going to be here now. He'll be after. It's been one of those test matches that I'm very, 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 very excited about this. I think that I hope it's a result. Don't you, Gil? I don't want any mishap with weather or any batting dreary draws. I don't think that India will approach it as that. But yeah, it's a great match. What's your prediction for today? We've got some 4 or 5 minutes before the match is starting. What's your prediction, Gil? What are you predicting?
For today,
Yeah.
yeah, I hope that India bat till tea, and then after tea, England are put into bat, and hopefully India have them 2 or 3 down by the end of the day.
So why are you saying tea? Are you saying that they're going to be all out by tea, or they're going to declare it tea? What are you saying?
All out. I think they'll be all out.
Really, all out by tea.
Yeah. I don't see them declaring. If they're batting till tea, they won't declare.
So say they're
Because if they're batting around,
so if they're at tea and they're 6 down, they're going to continue batting as far as yours.
yeah, they'll continue to bat. I think they'll only declare if they cross 500 runs, but I don't see them crossing that stage. I think they'll be all out around 400, hopefully 400, 450.
I'll do a poll. So I haven't been doing polls. I've been doing lots of. Do you watch my community page? I do a lot of stuff on there. I love doing stuff. And your Gillies cricket, that's also great. You do some great stuff on Instagram. But do you do much commentary on your YouTube yet?
No, I don't do that. I'm more active on Twitter. I don't do commentary. I just do all these interviews, and I keep posting something or the other, because sometimes I'm not able to watch the match the whole day. So when I'm not able to do that, how can I do commentary? And yeah, so also I don't have 19,000 subscribers. I have 470 of them. I need more
But you'll
subscribers for
get there. You'll get there very soon. Everybody on this channel,
me to
go
do the
to.
commentary full time.
What's your name? Your channel? Tell people about your channel.
So the name of the channel is Gilly Cricket, or you can search for a show by the name of Gupshup with Gil. If you search that, you will get the channel and the names, and then you can subscribe to the channel. You can watch a few interviews. They provide you with a sense of history on the game. They provide you with some analysis. They provide you with some history of cricket journalism, and yeah, there are a lot of people who've come now. I've released 11th episode. The 11th episode is on the history of Indian tennis and a little bit about the Indian spin quadrante. So do watch it. It's with Anindya Datta, and yeah, there's I've also interviewed Hemant Butch, who's a production head and who looks after the production at Sony. Whenever cricket matches, he explains how the camera people work while covering a stadium. So I try to cover different aspects of cricket and its broadcast.
Well, there you go. You've got a subscriber right there. Quick Legends just subscribed.
Thank you.
But my question is, have you got dancing girls on your station?
No.
Well, that's one thing you might want to add to your list of things to do, okay? Because then, oh no, I'm joking. All right. So the reality we have there's apparently a lot of banter going around the actual broadcasters leading into the start of the match, which is about to happen, around the so-called Test cricket is still the pinnacle, whereas Gavaskar and Ebony Rainford Brent have been some differing opinions. How could anyone ever say that Test cricket's not the pinnacle? It has to be always the pinnacle of cricket. World Cups are certainly high on the agenda and certain other IPL formats, but Test cricket still has to be the so-called agenda, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think it's different for different generations. For people who are growing up now, who are growing up in the T20 age or the age of the 100, for them it might not be the case. But I don't think uh, I don't think you can say it with an absolute certainty. I understand where Mr. Gavaskar is coming from. He's played in an era where there was no IPL, where Test cricket was professional. But today, with different formats being played and T20 becoming more and more professional, I understand why someone might would like to disagree. I am of the opinion that all three formats contribute equally to the game. Because if there was no T20 and there was no ODI cricket, then who will pump in the money in Test matches? Because you don't earn a lot through Test matches. So yeah, that's where I stand.
When you say you don't earn much for the match day fees, the match day earnings you're talking about, because they're on contracts of £500,000. They're not exactly poor either. So for all formats of cricket to work, Gil, for all formats of cricket to work in the future, you have to have Test cricket as the pinnacle. I still believe that. Because of Test cricket, players play at all different levels. Now, we've got Ollie Robinson coming on the bowl, it looks like. It does look overcast, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It looks
I don't have the TV in front of me right now. I'm just seeing when the match is going to begin, and I think it's now time for me to go because it's 3:30 already.
All right, Gil. Thank you very
Oh.
much. Appreciate it. So come tomorrow, and if you after the game, no, you think no.
See, it depends. Yesterday it got too late. The game was over by 11:45, and then I have to dress up. I have to put on my turban, so I didn't join.
Okay. I didn't get dressed up. So you do. All right, Gil. Thank you very much. In fact, the first one's already off the bat. We've seen it looks like Rahul's just hit a 2. Could be even a 3.
Anyway,
look, great start.
I'll leave now.
All right. Thanks, Gil. We'll see you either later today or tomorrow for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody go to his channel and all that. Okay, great. I'm going to sound a bit longer, guys. I'm not going anywhere. So we've got Rahul batting. He's already on 129. He scored 2 runs just there. A flick down to mid-wicket, square-legged more so. Ground looks particularly green, and obviously the overcast conditions are still there. And Robinson's coming to bowl, and oh my God, what a start! KL Rahul has just coughed up a catch to cover, and Robinson has taken the wicket of Curran Rahul on the second delivery of the morning. Curran Rahul is out for 129. So there you go. We've started with a bit of a crash. After all the batting of yesterday, Curran Rahul's last 2 balls, having scored a 2 on the first ball. So it's a shot that was there to be hit, and he's just played it far too straight to the fielder. Regulation catch. Not the start that India would have liked, especially with Curran Rahul batting so well. So Rishabh Pant will be coming into bat now, but Curran Rahul would not have wanted after such a great day yesterday, lasting the entire day not out at 127. Goes within 2 balls in the morning. It's frustrating, isn't it? And that's the way cricket goes. Well, he has scored 129, and he'll go on the honour boards as having scored 129 at Lords as an opener. Great performance. Well played. Yes, definitely well played. But the conditions look very overcast, which will work both ways. It could also work in India's favour when they end up bowling. But that sort of start, now 4 for 278, the 400 is going to be a big effort. Punt and Jadeja are still there, we know. They certainly can ink out more runs. Rahane is still there. But if they lose 1 or 2 more quick wickets, you could be looking at a score well below 400. Let's just wait and see. Because actually, don't forget, India got around the 280 mark. What was it? 278 mark. They actually got 278 in the first innings and the previous Test match. So, albeit they're not there, they're well ahead of that. They aren't that far ahead of it, are they? Should they have brought Jadeja in as opposed to Punt? That's a question that I have to ask. Well, after 23 matches, Punt has scored 1,428 runs, an average of 43.27. He's at 650s and 300s. Yeah, so he's got a pretty good record there for an early stage of his career. But it's very disappointing. I was watching the shot now. Oh, don't know what happened. Was the ball there to be hit? Yeah, the ball was there to be hit. It stopped on him, and he played through the ball, and it went straight. It looks like Sibley took it. Not. Yeah, so Music Harmony just said the chance of getting 400. I'm watching Music Harmony. It's a bit disturbing. There's no. Hopefully, there's no collapse coming. Kohli's happy with his performance though. Now, this is the true test of Rishabh Pant. This is not a situation to go crazy from ball 1. He needs to be a little bit tempered, because if he loses him quickly, then they could fall like a pack of cards, because after this, they've got only Jadeja and then a whole lot of bowlers. So bit of a disconcerted start to this day's play. And it looks like Rishabh Pant's going a little bit more conservative, which is good to see. Yeah, Kohli was quite a measured applause. Indian player, not exactly exuberant with their applause after only 2 balls. Rishabh Pant there, looking a touch nervous, maybe a little bit of nerves there. Certainly. Beautiful shot from Pant, straight down the ground, through almost a straight drive, and he's scored 4 off Robinson. Again, that's typical a la Rishabh Pant, isn't it? The score now going on to some 282. So it was a lovely shot. You can see the incline there. He played it well, and Robinson had no hope of stopping it. Well, didn't really put a good effort in. Anything else? Great performance by Rahul. It certainly was magnificent. The fact is, the ball actually stopped on Rahul. It stopped on him a little bit. He didn't quite play through the shot. He didn't wait for the ball to come to him, and he got out. Punt, batting in that position. Was there to hit, you reckon? He went for it. Well, he didn't really go for it. It wasn't the ball did stop. There was an element of stopping that ball, and he went through with the shot, but saying it stopped, it did actually create a distinct ball lofting. Quite unfortunate. I hope you enjoy staying on, guys. You can watch it with me. We can talk. Oh, it was a slightly wide delivery, and Robinson dragged Punt out, and he did play a miss, which is not a good shot. Yeah, it's typical of Punt to play a great shot. He didn't, and he followed that ball that was completely away from his body. It was a deliberate bowling ploy by Robertson, well wide of the stumps, dragging punt out, and he did play the shot. Yeah, he could easily have been out. Yeah, look, we shouldn't really need to change punt batting. It's a great performance, but I just want to make sure that we get. Oh, I don't want any to be all out for less than 350. That'll be a frustrating end to their first innings. Punt and Rahane have to hang around, and Jadeja's there. So this is the beauty of a Jadeja. He comes in next, he could make a real difference. Certainly is a distinct part of that. So Robinson was joined by Anderson. Anderson will be on the other end. Anderson to Rahane. The conditions are beautifully overcast. And he's out first ball. Rahane has been caught at first slip. First ball off, playing again a shot that he didn't need to play. Well outside off stump. He just hung the bat out there. An awful shot, actually, for your first ball of the day's play. And Rahane's gone first ball. So we've got Rahul out second ball of the morning and Rahane out first ball. It did move away, but it was a regulation, stuck his bat out there. He couldn't let the ball go. That ball was there to be let go. And Anderson can't believe how easy it is. He's going like this. This is too easy. That ball was not there to be played. Hung his bat out there. And nothing shot. Rahane, that was not what we expected, Rahane. So, and you've lost 2 wickets very, very, very quickly, and are now 5 for 282. Rahane going for 1. Didn't last any more than 1 ball, and of course, Rahul got out second ball. Not the sort of start that you want to see, guys. A bit ugly. The conditions are ripe for bowling, let's be honest. Let's just see how we go here. Music Harmony, I don't know whether you should be saying drop them. I don't think Rahane's shot was awful. Is 350 enough for him to declare in the first innings? Well, they won't be declaring. They won't need to. They're going to be all out the way they're going. But we'll get 50 at 12 away hard. Let's hope. Let's hope they do what they did the last match. So Jadeja's in with punt. This is where you've got some steely batting. Now, these two guys have been in good form. So there's no issue. So this is Jadeja's 54 test matches. He scored 2,041 runs. He's also got over 200 wickets. Average of 35.8. 150. He's got 16 and 100. Pretty good effort. That was nowhere near. He easily could let that go. There was no reason to play that ball at it. And the reaction of Anderson's, oh, that was too easy. And Rahane's would have to be just, what did he play that shot for? Well, being two left-handers will not exactly Anderson's favourite batsman to bowl to. Yeah, Manoj, you did tell me. Such a bad shot for Rahane. Yeah, I agree. I'd argue that Rahane is more in danger than Pujara, just to be honest. I think Rahane is distinctly more in danger than Pujara. So they're 5 for 282 after 91 overs. Anderson, it's more like what should have happened on the first day, actually, and thankfully it didn't happen this way. Well played. Jadeja let that ball go. Well played. It was what Rahane should have done. In the case of, you can't be angry with KL Rahul. He got 129, and the ball he played stopped on him, and he didn't play properly through the shot. Hence, he was caught. But there's no doubt that Rahane's shot was awful. Very sort of non-committal. First ball, when the ball's outside stuff, let it go immediately. Take that snick out of the question altogether. It seems to be a typical one-day or T20 attitude. When you hit the ball, down near your feet that you suddenly start to run. Jadeja's just done it again. They had this little canter. There's none of this playing and not running, which is a test attribute. We're looking at the CEO of his name's Tom Harrison. I think he's the CEO of English Cricket Board, or English ECB, as he called. It was a disturbing start, not what India would have liked. Certainly not. I'll go about 15 minutes, guys, and then we'll probably cut off. But I think if you'd like me to commentate, I certainly can. The reality is India are 5 for 283, having just started. Both Rahane and, of course, Rahul are out very quickly. Rahul got out second ball, hitting a quick 2 on the first ball, out for 129. But, of course, Rahane, first ball, nicked it to first slip, awful. Oh, that was a very, very circumspect punch shot there. He didn't want to let the ball go, but he ended up hitting it. They've got to just keep themselves away from balls on or off stump. They've got to allow those balls to go. Yeah, my thoughts. Yeah, if we can get through that stage with punt, he may take care of moment. You're right. Munchie says, "Oops, thank you, Munchie." That's not a very nice comment. They need 350 at least, and they're nowhere near it at the moment. Only reason Rahane is getting so many chances is he's vice captain. Well, partly. Rahane or Pujara. Okay, no, we won't go through that comment. Obviously. Once Pants gets out, it's a dead rubber. A dead rubber. Well, I mean, the innings will fall. Well, out second ball and first ball so far. That's a very onerous up now. But I've got a lot of time for Jadeja. And also punt. These two, this is it. Once these two are out, or one of these two are out, we're going to have a tail come into play, and they may be lucky to get 320. Let's hope not. Oh, Jesus, what happened there? It was a bizarre shot. I'm not sure whether Jadeja got any bat on that, but the arms went up over Joe Roach's head as if it was out. But the ball was well pitched up. It came in, and it clipped the bat onto the pad. So yeah, no, there's no, I don't know what they're even attempting to just miss there. India needs 350 badly. Well, isn't it funny? We were talking 400, 450 before the start of play. Lose 2 quick ones. Now we're worried they'll get 350. They have to get 350 to make this game. But they should not clam up. These two should be attacking when the ball's there. I don't mind that, to be honest. They can't go into a shell. Well, the way this is going, well, India will be all out by next session. They may be all out this session if they don't watch it. Disturbing, to say the least. Yeah, 5 for 283 in the 92nd over, or 93rd over, actually. And we'll wait and see. Pujara's a good player. I asked a question about because today is happy birthday to it's left-handers day, and I actually asked in my community page as to who's the best left-hand batter, and Sobers was right up there. Sangakkara, even Jadeja's got a mention. Yurav Singh, Zahir Khan with the ball, Gale, the boss, of course, Saran Ganguly, Cook, Ganguly again, Rishabh. There's quite a few good names being written up here. Let's have a look. So Anderson comes into Jadeja, and Jadeja plays the ball. He gets an edge, but it was along the ground. Who do you guys think was the best left-hander? It's left-handers day. So who was the best left-hander you've ever seen? We'll talk more batting than bowling. Yeah, Ollie Robinson certainly is proving a good selection. They've been talking about, Robert Sharma James Anderson being the lone bowler. Well, Robinson's pitched in pretty well. He took the first wicket in the morning. And India already have enough. Well, confidence is there, sure. Overcast is in the favourite. England, the ball is moving like a jagger. Jadeja should strike and protect punt from Anderson. Potentially, yes. That ball is so dark, rich red, very much a typical ball. The Duke's ball is that dark red. I love it. It's a lot harder ball than the Kookaburra. Kookaburra is a little bit lighter. Yeah, there's this tendency to hit and run too much. I'm not a big fan of that. You got to when you're batting, you stick your ground unless you hit the Nick Knight's there. Just looking at some. $8.15. All right, let's have a look here. What do we got now? Anderson going around the wicket, and punt danced down the wicket like he was facing a spinner. I'm not sure what he was up to there. Is India make 4 runs in the first? Will India make? It's not looking like it at the moment. Good approach by punt here and here's Anderson. What jagging down there wicket? But I'm not going to try and influence what. I'm not sure what punt was doing then. Let's watch the next ball coming in now. Punt a bit more conservative with a defensive shot. Ravi Shastri certainly has a large involvement with this team. There's no doubt about that at all. There's no doubt about that at all. There's a lot to be said about Ravi Shastri's efforts here. Punt looking a bit more controlled. He's trying to sell the length of that. Anderson, I get that. What is the maximum score in the first innings at Lords? Maximum score ever? Well, I don't know offhand. That's a good question. I'll have to Google that. I don't know that offhand. What the highest score ever on the first innings, you say? Let's have a look. I'll Google it. I don't know it offhand. Okay. Well, the highest individual batting score is Graham Gooch got 333. Graham Smith got 259. Bradman got 254. So pretty highest team score. Okay. Well, the highest team score, it looks at highest team score at there was and England got 9 for 528. New Zealand's got 523, West Indies got 518, and England got 505. So they're the top scores. I don't think they're in danger of that happening today. No, that's not going to happen today. Had Rahul stayed there, it may have been possible. With Rahul and Rahane gone, these two are capable of anything. Yes, they can certainly have a go. At the moment, they'll be pretty happy with 400, I reckon. They're probably not going to be happy with 350, but they might settle for 350. Yeah, it looks cheeky for Dave. My heart is beating. Fast punt should survive till no one as well. Let's hope. Well, that might be a long. Oh, geez, probably a long mouth. Manu John is impossible. Yeah, well, it's looking that way. With Anderson and Robertson going, oh, that ball just pitched. Kind of stopped and went away. Very difficult to play. The Andrew Strauss's wife's Ruth Strauss. The red roses of Ruth Strauss are out. Might not be the third or fourth day. I'm not sure what day. Maybe the fourth day when they have the Ruth Strauss Day. Maybe Curtains and Pajama are well. They lose the match. It's going to increase the thoughts of that. But Agarwal deserves a chance, doesn't he? Now that Rahul's played well. At 5 for 283, India would not be happy with that, I don't think. Maybe okay, we've already mentioned that question already. I might have dinner. No, I'm joking. Okay, all right. So with Jadeja on 1 and Punt on 4, Roberts having got 2 for 53 so far, and certainly is impressive indeed. It looks as though, they bowl well. I mean, the conditions are perfect for bowling. It's overcast. Yeah, this is the part of the day. It'll be very difficult for the England batters to face the Indian bowlers, I'll tell you. Rahul and Rohit are the only Indian batsmen who looks comfortable in English conditions. It's partly true. Oh, that's good. Don't you hear commentary of Sean Pollock in this match? What do you mean? I'm not hearing it because I've got the volume down. Rahul and Rohit are the only. Yeah, I've already talked about that. Butler's been a bit awkward about his keeping, to be honest with you. That ball came in, but well watched by Jadeja, well watched and well left. This is where Rahane and even Kohli later in his should have done better. Quite disappointing. Robinson made this. There's not a lot of pace in the wicket. The ball seems to be stopping and then changing direction. If there's not a lot of give, it's not really coming through to the bat. There's a bit of stop. That's what's happened to Rahul. He's played a ball that off Robertson, which actually stopped. Punt and Jadeja are playing. Maybe even it's too safe. I think it is. Order from colleagues will waste time. I don't know about wasting time, but just occupy time because there's. They need to see off the new ball. It's a relatively new ball. This is the 95th over. So the ball's 20, not even 20 overs old. It's in fact 15 overs old, which is still a relatively new ball. Today's is playing the ball very well, and I'm very impressed with the way he's playing. Batting with a great degree of caution. He needs to do that. There's plenty of time. There's no need to hurry. Five for 23 looks a lot worse than 3 for 276. They've only added 7 runs this morning, lost 2 wickets. It's not what you would call a great position to be in. And crossed the line quite badly there by Punt. That was very much across the line. Very, very much across the line. Punt looks awkward. We know that. He doesn't necessarily play naturally against Punt versus Anderson. Fingers crossed. Yeah, that's a bit of a worry. Punt just needs to play the right line. Play the right line. And there'll be a major benefit from playing the right line. So thank you guys again for those that are joining now. I have just reached 19,000 subscribers. 19 is 19,000 subscribers and some 2.5 million views. I'm very thankful for that, guys, and please continue to follow. Lack of application leads to disaster. Thangamuthu Chinnaswamy, that's pretty true. Punt can bat, don't worry. Punt's no issue with his batting. Typical Lords overcast conditions. Having been there on countless occasions, probably 20 times I've been there, it's always had that mark of an overcast day. A couple of sunny days I've seen, but not many. The numbers on the back of the jerseys are very red. Anderson's got a big red, orangey red. Oh, there we go. Punt's gone for it. And there's no one deep, so it's 4. Punt's just danced down the wicket and slashed at it. It's proven effective. It will throw Anderson's showing his eyes up in the air with just saying doesn't like being played like that, which is the effect of Punt's trying to get. He's danced, got himself some room, and he's played a big slash and has gone quite handsomely over that. And look, that was intentional. And look, batting like that, it will disturb Anderson, and Anderson did shake his head. If he can continue to do that and get away with it, great. That's the question. Well, he's well out of his crease against Anderson. Anderson's going to follow up, I reckon, with a very full ball. He's bowled the same long length, but very accurately. That was Punt. They're constantly looking at Ravi Shastri. There's been word about Ravi Shastri not. Prince Kumar, you want me to tell you that? Prince Kumar? Baxter Boy will be angry if Punt scores. He certainly will be because he doesn't like Punt, does he? See, Punt's work, Reggie's working someone over there, Chris Vernon is it all. Showing the new stand, they look quite magnificent, very cleverly, very nicely designed. Punt's just taken a quick single. Punt's attitude is good. Oh, they're a long way off from 400. They're a long way off from 400 at the moment, I tell you. So we've had a number of guests on today. We've already had David Graveney. We've had Gurkharat Gill. We've had Siddharth Vishwanathan. We've had who else have we had? Munchie on for a little while there. Munchie, as in came on as well. Had a good amount of guests there. The run rate's dropped to 3. Not a major drop, but it's dropped a little bit. Ollie Robinson certainly has combined well with Anderson this morning. Very interesting stage of the match, actually. It's dropped below 3. It's gone 2.9 on about the run rate. And Puntan, typical style. They bowled short to him and he's clobbered it. And a very, very good shot. So this is the thing about Punt. His aggressiveness, his devil may care batting, starts to throw the line of the bowlers off. They start to bowl shorter or fuller. And that was way too short. That was there to be hit, and he hit it beautifully. Into the gap, safe as houses, and good shot. Amazing to see Punt get a century. He would certainly do it. He does look very Adam Gilchrist-like the way he's batting now. He's devil may care, chancing his arm, and it's working so far. Let's see if it keeps going. He's got another short ball, and he's pulled it again. This has gone. No, the field's going to get there. No, they're not going to get there. Another good pull shot for another 4. Punt's racing off to 17 now. This is a commendable performance indeed. This is Ollie Robinson's falling for the trap. He's bowling short to Punt, thinking he can take him on, and Punt's just eating it up. That was a very poor short ball. Right on the money for Punt. It wasn't too far up, it wasn't hard to hit. It was right in the spot to hit. It was probably equally as good as the previous ball. He hit it beautifully. If he keeps bowling, he's going to keep hitting it. On a better length from Robinson to finish the over. Well, not finish over, but he's been hit for 2 fours anyway. It's quite a, it's a rather disturbing effort there. Great to see Rishabh Pant play. And even though he's batting with a certain devil-may-care attitude, it's great to watch. Even in Test cricket, it's very much, as I said, Gilchrist-like. Very much like Gilchrist. They love to hit the ball and pretend to run, and it's sort of disjointing. Yeah, it is true, Mookie. If he plays this smart, Punt can pick up a ton, and then he can get 400 quickly. Look, that is literally the difference. If Punt continues his way and gets 80 to 100 runs, India will get 400, and in quick time too. Jadeja's there as well to add that backbone. So these two mentally are very strong. They very much will support each other. Punt is a junior Gilly. There's a lot of great comparisons. As long as Punt can continue this, that's the issue. He gets out in the next 5 runs, well then we have not got the result that we wanted. Yeah, so this is a very interestingly poised point of the game, I must say, guys. I'll give it a bit longer. We'll give Punt another few minutes, and we'll see how we go. Are you enjoying this, guys? I'm enjoying it. So, Kapil Verma, what is the problem? So, Virat Kohli is facing that even after getting a good start, he is not able to make the innings big. And today, the same problem with it. Yeah, it's a bit frustrating. Can Punt score a century? Why not? Why not? If it keeps going this way, why not? Why not? 5 for 296. Anderson comes in the bowl. Yeah, they're firing it wide. There's a tempt over. So Jadeja's not going to bite. Jadeja's going to take a slightly back seat, not unlike what Rahul did with Rohit Sharma. Jadeja will put the back seat and Punt will go for it. So this could be good. So Anderson. Jadeja is very cautious but calculating. He's doing very well indeed. So look here. Just looking up the... That's great. All right. Thank you, Prashant Upadhyaya. I'm assuming you're a subscriber. Great. Thanks for joining. I can see Andrew Strauss there talking to... Andrew Strauss is having a chat to Ganguly. Of course, with Ruth Strauss Day coming up, I'm not sure what day, the next few days. It's a great thing. There's there with Shah, the BCCI heads. They're all there. Gula looked, I'm very good, very, very good. Did you know that Anderson is the only player present in the international cricket who has played before MS Dhoni rest of all retired? Well, there you go. We've got Atherton and Mike Atherton and well, there's Crawley walking off to the nets. The poor bugger, he's been dropped. He'll come back. Sky Sports commentary is better than the Indian Sony 6. Is on Sony, do they have Deep Dasgupta? I think he's a good commentator. I like Deep. If it's got Gavaskar, he's also good. I don't think they're bad at all. Harsha Bogley, yeah, and obviously the Sky's got some pretty good depth. Mohammad Shami looks like he's batting next in the order. So ahead of Bumrah, ahead of the other players. So Mohammad Shami looks like he's next in the bat. It's not really a good sign, is it? There's 6 down and Shami's coming to bat. They got Shami, Sharma, Bumrah and Siraj. There's not much batting there, let's be honest. And there's Ashwin looking very, what's the word for that? Looking a bit bothered, a bit sort of bored. Probably itching, saying, why am I not out there? Why am I not out there? Jadeja's playing fantastic, letting balls go. Let punt go crazy other end. Do you think Jadeja also is gearing up now gear up like shot punt? Well, I don't know. I think Jadeja will take a back seat. He'll let punt do the hitting, and Jadeja will just be there to hold up his end and hit the occasional ball, and he'll take more of a role on with the rest of the tail end if that's the way it looks. So Sony's 6 commentators are biased. Who are they? Who are you talking about? Deep Dasgupta? He's good. India today as well. Well, that's Bori Majuna's involved in that. And obviously, the likes of Vikrant Gupta, they've got some great people there. I like them. Deep Dasgupta, where is he? Is he an Indian today or is he with Sony? I'm not sure. Who are the Sony commentators? Let me know. Robertson and Anderson are both still on. There's no change to the lineup. Curran and Moeen Ali hasn't bowled much. Well, hasn't bowled at all today, but punt's just gone down the wicket and slashed heavily. Not off the middle of the bat. It's gone into a clear space, and he'll get 2 possibly. He's just gone for 2. It was a pretty ordinary shot. Let's be honest. He went down the wicket and he got a hold of it enough. He knows the fielders are up enough, so he can afford to do that. He hit the ball too high on the bat. And has got away with a couple of runs there. Punt sometimes have to pick his balls to rub down the wicket. It doesn't do it up every ball. But it does affect the length of the bowl. They do change their mind. They're not sticking to their line length, which is what happens when you bowl to punt. But Robinson's pretty clever. He's probably going to keep an Anderson how good he is. I am going to go, guys, soon because it's we'll give another 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. See how punt goes. Oops, half played at that. So Rishabh Pant basically came in second ball of the day, didn't he? And the next over, Jadeja came in after the wicket of Rahane. Rahane, of course, fell first ball, caught the first slip by Root, and Rahul fell second ball off Robinson to cover. I think it was Sibley who caught that catch. So England would be relatively happy, in fact, probably close to ecstatic if they get them for less than 320. 350 would also be a marvellous result for England, considering where they're at. India have to still push for 400. These two, we just don't know. Okay. Pat cleverly waiting on the back foot after stepping out first ball. Yeah, it's kind of a cat and mouse game being played. So I think Bulgaria. I'll read today that Langer is furious because somebody posted the celebration of Shakib Al Hussain in the Cricket Australia website. Well, what's wrong with that? If Shakib Al Hussain wins, gets the most 100, he's got 100 wickets, 1,000 runs or whatever he's got, he deserves to be celebrated. Like, why is Langer should get away from that? It's not his job. His job is to coach Australia and not get upset with it by the damn website. Gets cranky a lot. He got cranky at me back in Sydney when I was taking some video footage of them walking out of the ground into the bus. He looked at me and said, who the hell are you? I have every right to do that, and so he shouldn't be like that. It's very poor when they get so opinionated, and so he's a cranky bugger sometimes. It's a real pity because I do like the guy, and I think he's a great asset to Australia, but he needs to win over his players a bit better. I think there's some issues there that the cracks are certainly showing. He's very passionate to the point where it can become a bit much for certain players. They're showing the skyline of London, because obviously St John's Wood, which is not all that far from just north of London Central, great part of the world. The Oval's more southeast or east, or almost really dead centre, actually, pretty close to the centre. Jadeja's playing very well. He just watches the ball. It's outside off stump. He's just watching it go through. Whereas Jadeja was certainly going to play for it. And Rahani's dismissal was very just. The ball should have been there. He should have let the ball go, and he didn't do that. Quite frustrating, to be honest. They're talking about swing direction. I don't quite get what that's all about. But yeah, Jadeja is a great foil for punt at the moment. Jadeja is the sort of person who can dig in there and get 50-odd runs, if not more. How punt just transfers pressure no matter if you're 9 down. Yeah, I do like that. Why doesn't Jason Roy, Navish Sharma asked, why doesn't Jason Roy play Test cricket? Probably the same reason that maybe Shigadarwa doesn't have had the time. But Jason was a good batter, but he's been pigeonholed into the one-day T20 scenario, the short ball format. Short, certainly that's where he's at. So, yeah, he might be good, but, yeah, that's interesting. Alex Harris is another one. He could easily be in this side. He's Kevin Peterson-like in his ability to play, and they've kind of neglected him, and there's reasons for it. Whether it's drugs related or something, I don't know. Something's not gone right there. Incredibly well left by Jadeja, looking very, very comprehensive with his balls, letting go. All right, guys, I'm going to give it another 5 minutes. So any questions you want to ask, please do. But we'll don't forget, after the game, which yesterday finished at past 7 p.m, it looks like we may get the full day in earlier today, which would be, say, 6 p.m. or thereabouts in England time. I'll be on, that means 10:30, 11 p.m. India time, so it's 6 p.m. England time is around 10:30, 11 p.m. India time, IST, and Australia, my God, that's something like 3 in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning. So that's when I'll be on. So I'll see you guys then once we leave. Okay. Rahul's dismissal was unlucky. Well, he played the shot, didn't he? Who has capability to place Pujara Rahane? Well, obviously, Rahul's already in there. If Gill was around, he would be in there. Agarwal certainly has a Bahari. There's a few players that can play, don't worry. Ready to go. That was a phenomenal delivery. Phenomenal delivery. It was pitching on or on mid, like leg start, and it just cut Jadeja to pieces. Yeah, Surya Kumar. Well, Shaw needs to open, so it won't be replacing Pujara necessarily. Shaw would have to be behind Rahul. I hope that Rahul does not drop down the order to allow someone else to go into open, because Rahul should be right where he is as an opener. Tremendous position for him to play. So Anderson's bowled 25 overs. Ollie Robbins bowls 28. Sam Curran 18. Woods only bowled 16. and was expensive. But 4 off him, and then Ali's bowled 13. So a bit of a heavier share. So Mark Wood is now coming on to bowl to replace what appears to be Ollie Robinson, because I think Anderson bowled the last over. So, yeah. Interesting, bringing Wood on may not necessarily be an advantage in this case because Jadeja can handle him, and Punt will love that ball coming onto the bat. And if he bowls it all short, the ball's going to go. Strike rate's not really relevant in Test cricket. It's about survival. How much is it? How much the score is the safe one for here? Really, nothing less than 350. And you'd want safe is for over 400, definitely. Because I don't think England will get anywhere near that, by the way. But you've got to be safe. 400 would still be a safe total, but it's a long way off at the moment. At least 350, at least. But that's not what after what they started on today. They should have been thinking well over 350. So if they're satisfied with 350, it's because they haven't performed that well. A good shot from Punt, but then they've got a Fieldsman right there in a short extra cover position. And it's Sibley who took the catch off the bowling of Robinson of Rahul. So they're putting a man there because the ball is definitely stopping when it's coming through. 350 is not safe in my opinion. I think 400 is safe. But if they think they've got to get at least 350. But getting at least 50 doesn't make it safe. It makes it reasonable, but still not good. I think 400 is 400 is still their target at this point. If these two can ink out some extra runs, and it's possible. Ooh. It's going to be very hard to imagine getting more than 350, to be really honest with you, but I still think 400 is what they should be aiming for. And that was Wood. Punt did sort of play at it. Well, a strike rate should be relevant to an extent, but it's still Test cricket, not short form cricket. England batting certainly depends on route, and now probably a little bit on Bairstow, and Moeen Ali's in there, which is certainly a strengthener of the batting lineup. Ooh. Punt can do anything if he gets a hold of it. We'll wait and see. All right, guys. I'm going to be going soon, so we need a break. Then we'll come back after the match to the post review of the day, which at the moment is not a very good review because India certainly haven't done as well as they should have. $350 is a minimum now. I've seen the start they've had here. I've said that. I said 350 is a lesser expectation, but is at least what they should be getting. But 400 is when we're talking safe. Yeah. Yeah, it is left-handers day, guys. And I did mention it earlier. Tell me who your favourite left-hander is in the messages. So, Munchie, sorry, I was not here early on call. That's okay. No, net 354. Munchie would it be Lara or Sobers? Yeah, I think they're pretty much up there. Compare Michael Bevan and Donny, who was a better finisher. Well, they're both. Donny is probably a better one, but Bevan was the best left-hand finisher, left arm, left hand batting for sure. But Donny was probably better. Bevan did some great things though. Did some great things. So it's been a double change. Sam Curran's been brought on to bowl as well as Wood. So both Anderson and Robinson have been taken off, and Wood and Curran have come on. Graham Thorpe was an excellent finisher, absolutely. Livingston certainly can, but he's got the temperament of a punt, hasn't he? Nobby Sharma, hasn't he? Livingston will get a go one day for the England side. When that'll be, we don't know. He's in the short form they're going for sure. He'll be in the T20 World Cup. So what happened there? I didn't see that. I think it was a 4. Yes, so Sam Curran bowled, and that was a nice flick there by Jadeja, and it's gone to the boundary for a little bit ordinary. Sam Curran, they say should open the bowling. Well, he needs to get his line length better than that, because really Robinson and Anderson bowled fantastically. So India are 5 for 302, so they reached the 300 mark. Was it so pretty? Was a pretty decent finisher? You know, what, Livingston or Thorpe? Okay, who are you talking about? So, should Australia bring back James Faulkner for World T20? No, he's gone. You're referring to Inzamam al-Haq. He was amazing. Inzamam al-Haq was one of my favourite batters. I still love watching him. And he was lazy, but I liked him. He was special to watch Inzamam al-Haq. That one of my favourites, one of my all-time favourites. Sam Curran's bowling a bit of length to Jadeja. So again, thank you guys for some 19,000 subscribers. I'm very happy about them. 2.5 million people have views itself. I'm very, very proud of that. 19,000. Let's go for 20. Let's even try and make 20 in the series. Be a bit of a tall ask, but we've got 3 days left. Let's try and rally the forces and get more people to subscribe and get up to 20,000. That would excite me. Now we're up to 19,000 now. All right. Tell me if there's any more questions, guys, because thanks to you, thanks to you, Munchie. You've been a major part of it. I really appreciate everything that you've done. My favourite Pakistani batsman was Mohammad Yusuf. He and Yunus Khan, they were both fantastic players. I actually cheered on Yunus Khan when he got his double 100 against England in 2016. Yeah, Murky, they're Yunus Shahana, as I would call him, Mohammad Yusuf and Yunus Khan, and amazing, and Inzamam al-Haq, some great players, lovely to watch, exciting to watch. It's good to have David Gravely on today. We had Munchie on for a while. We had Gurkharat Gill. We had Siddharth Vishwanathan. Some good people. All right, guys. I'm going to head off, I think, because the game's well on the way. We've almost played the first hour's play. Well, I'll play up until the first drinks break. So India are 5 for 302. As we can see, Rahul and Kohli in the dressing room having a bit of a chat with Sharma and Bumrah in the background. But the reality is that Rahul only added 2 runs to his overnight score, 120, he got 129. It was caught, covered by Sibley off the second ball of Robinson in the morning. Then I think it was the next over. Rahali's first ball off Anderson, nicked it to first slip, was out. Didn't have to score overnight score. He played one shot, one ball. That brought Jadeja and Punt together, and Punt's hit some nice brisk fours, and he's on 19 not out. Jadeja's 5, he's hit the 1-4. And Wood and Sam Curran are bowling. Currently, they're 5 for 302. So that run rate's dropped below 3. It's 2.95. Wood hasn't bowled exceptionally well, nor has Curran. So there's a little bit of reprieve here for both Jadeja and Punt, because definitely Anderson and Robinson were the winners of the morning so far. Big Bash, should the Big Bash have new teams like IPL's going to have in the future? No. Namaste, I'm not sure what that means, but Namaste, I certainly know. So, Jawahari Nehru, I don't need. Nice to meet you. If you'd like to join, please do so. So, yeah, we're coming up to the drinks break. I think that'll be enough for me, for guys, and I'll come back later. And the game, I'll come back after the game. So, after the day's end, it'll be between 6 and 7 p.m., which will be between, let's say, between 10:30 and 11 p.m. 10:30, 11 p.m. Indian time. It'll be 3 in the morning, 3 to 4 in the morning my time. So there you go. Yash Paul, hello, all, hello. We're about to go, actually. Oof. Wood in his last over before drinks. Certainly getting the ball jagged back, but was well played again today. Left that well. Rahani's in some serious doubt. Pujara not as much, but Rahani definitely in some serious time. But if India win the match, they may survive yet again. Again, guys, make sure you view, like, and share my Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnik YouTube channel. Share it through WhatsApp, through Facebook Messenger, through Instagram if it's possible, through emails. Get people to view, please, and get them to share it, and then they can perhaps subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. If anyone's on here, please subscribe, and then hit the notification button for our next. We'll do one every day for pre and post show. We'll have some of the media conferences also uploaded. Some other tidbits will certainly be there. I'll do my interviews as well on the streets, as well as my newspaper discussions. They'll come up soon. So at Norm Koch is my Instagram and my Twitter. I have a LinkedIn page as well. If you're on LinkedIn, I have a Facebook page, but I'm not Facebook of my own, and I've got about 5,000 people. But it's not really my main location, but I do have people there. Who will bat better for India after England comes to bat? Who will bowl better for India? Well, again, Bumrah will do well on this pitch. So will Shami and both Ishaq will as well. And Suraj, there's quite a few there. Quite a few options there, guys. All right, guys. There's increasing numbers here. This is I think it was the first drinks break. So please make sure you view the channel if you're new to the channel. Yash, Paul, and Satfi Pagara, I'm pretty sure you've subscribed. And Jawaharlal Nehru, please do the same. Just, guys, make sure that you're engaged with me. We can talk about this. So realistically, the match at this point in time is, I wouldn't say it's evenly poised. It's still in India's favour by a long shot. They've scored 300. They get 350 plus, it'll be okay. 400 will be excellent. And then we'll see a distinct shift in favour of India. So this next close to 100 runs, if India can nick it out, that'll put them in a great situation. But at the moment, it's a bit starting to pair back to not quite even, but a lot better for England. Prangan Hassan, how are you? I don't think we've met before. Norman Kochnik here from Eyes on Cricket. Please join by subscribing. Yeah, people are forgetting this is Left-Handers Day, like a birthday, effectively, and it's a great day for left-handers. There's plenty of them. I've sent another one that we just talked about just then. Just have a look at message. Yeah, Euro of Sync certainly is another one. Certainly is another player. All right. We've gone up to numbers. I'm fine. And you? I'm fine as well. A little tired. I've gone close to 3 hours. I'm just hitting 3 hours online. I've been greatly blessed by guests like David Graving, the former chairman of selectors of the ECB. He's still a part of the selection group now. We had Gurkharat Gill, who is Gillies Cricket. We have Siddharth Vishwanathan, who's a great journalist from England, India. We had Munchie join us, Munchie Marcus Lawrence. He would join him for a while. He was great value. Richard Verner's not here, I say. And I think that's it. I can't remember anyone else that's come on. And then Ruth Strauss Day, I think that's, well, it's the whole test, but then it comes into play the next few days. I think it's the MCC scenario there. Adam Gilchrist, legendary left-hand opener. God, how could you not forget him? He was one of the best. He was one of the best in the world. India to win. We hope so, Tony. We hope so, big time. All right, guys. There's 76 of you. Why does somebody watching me? There's not. It's a frustrating day, guys. It really is frustrating as much as for India. They've done so well, and they lost 2 quick wickets within a matter of an over and a half. That's very, very frustrating considering where they've been at, and it's very sad because Rahul, no, not sad. KL Rahul got 127 not out yesterday. It was fantastic. He got only 2 runs added to his score. He's got 129. Magnificent innings. Rahane was very disappointing. Played a ball which he shouldn't have for his first ball. Seems to be a lot of that happening. Birmingham's gloomy now. I don't know what will be happening. Lords looks fine, Jake. It does look, well, it looks overcast. By no means is it fine. India won the test match. Well, that's, if you look to the future, that's a good, we must have a crystal ball because that's a big statement, but I tend to agree that they're going to win. Yeah, so. Okay. I don't know what's going on. We've got Curran and Wood is still out there. I thought they would have had a drinks bar. Maybe they've already. Maybe they've had the drinks break and they're already over now. Yeah, it looks like they haven't. I missed it. We're so quick. If I get a call, we're going. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. So again, if you'd like to share, make sure you subscribe, join the channel, notifications, and we'll see you after the game for the post-game review. All the best, guys. This is Norman Koshing from Isaac Cricket signing off. How is the COVID situation in Australia? Not good.